and welcome to episode 5 of Damsels After Dark, where we, your lovely hosts, deep dive into a book each week from cover to cover to rant, rave, discuss, obsess. This week, all of it. This week we read a brand new series, thank God, which is the Folk of the Air series. We started it. We read the first book, which is A Cruel Prince. Or The Cruel Prince?
The
Cruel Prince. It had a lot of good reviews. Almost 1 million.
Yeah.
It's like 900 and something thousand.
Yeah. I'm so happy that this one was way better than the other. Like, it actually was what the reviews said for the most part. I know a lot of people did not actually like it, but we liked it.
Did a lot of people not really like it?
Yeah.
Oh.
There was quite a few.
I don't read the reviews or the synopsis. I just dive right on in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I tend to read the reviews before I read the synopsis because I just generally want to see what other people have to say about it. And this one actually got more good reviews than bad, but I wanted to still read it for ourselves. And
I have the impression that this book is sort of like a cult classic in this sort of fantasy world genre. I see a lot of people talking about it. I see a lot of people have it. Like, it's on their shelves. It's one of their top books. So I think that's why we dove into this one. Because, well, I want to know what all the hype's about.
Yeah.
Why does everybody have this on their list? So just like normal, we're going to go event by event through the book. So if you haven't read it or you don't want any spoilers, then please consider yourself warned. Without further ado, we'll read the book synopsis like we normally do.
So on Amazon and Goodreads, the synopsis states, "Of course I want to be like them. They're beautiful as blades, forged in some divine fire. They will live forever. And Carden, even more beautiful than the rest, I hate him more than all the others. I hate him so much that sometimes when I look at him, I can hardly breathe." June was 7 years old when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous high court of faerie. Faerie. 10 years later, June wants nothing more than to belong there, despite their mortality. But many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. So there's a little bit more, but we kind of just stopped there because it's a very long synopsis.
So just like the last 2, if you're following along with us, we read the Kingdom of the Wicked series, and in that one, there had a ton of prologue. Every book started with a prologue.
Yes, everyone we've read so far.
And so this one started with a prologue. This one also had twins in it. So I loved that smooth bleed into, like, how it was still sort of reminiscent of the first one. So much better, these twins. Well,
yeah. I mean,
one of them is so much better.
The main character in this story is a better twin than the main character in our last.
Yes. You did a good comparison of these two, likening Jude to Vittoria.
Yes. I feel like, in this circumstance, Vittoria is Jude and Emilia is Taryn.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, and we were saying last series that we wanted to read Vittoria's story.
Yeah, I feel like we got.
Here we go.
Yeah, I feel like I got almost like a glimpse in what would be if Vittoria was an actually human twin of
I still think that Jude is probably way more badass than Vittoria could ever be.
Oh, I agree.
But we'll get into the reasons of that one later.
Yeah.
But so it starts out with a prologue.
In this prologue, I was pretty shocked at how violently vicious it was right off in the start, only because of this involving the children and being present during this and who they kill.
Yes.
It's a little.
So we start off with a man who just appears. It's so very much Harry Potter.
Yeah. He
just appears on the street. We don't know where he came from. And
it's modern time, too.
It is modern time,
yeah.
which I was shocked about because I don't know why I expect anything from these because I don't read anything about them. But when we're talking about fairies and magic and stuff, in my mind, it immediately takes place in sort of like
an ancient time.
With
castles and big dresses.
Cobblestones, lanterns.
Carriages.
Wax seals, like the all of it.
Yeah.
So, we're in modern day times. We see this man, we get his point of view as he's walking up, or at least we get him as he's walking up. He knocks on the door, and then we get a glimpse onto the inside of what's going on, and there's 2 twin sisters sitting down watching a TV show, which in my head was Tom and Jerry, and then the older sister's also sitting, I think, on the couch or something, probably watching. And then the man knocks at the door. Jude, I believe.
I believe it's Jude, if I remember correct.
If I remember right, yeah. She opens the door, and then I don't quite remember what they say, but I think Jude just goes and gets the mom, or somebody goes and gets
Something
the
like
mom.
that. They just acknowledge that a man's at the door, and I think he walks in, and the mom screams to go to the bedroom, tells the girls to go to the bedroom, and so Jude goes over to her older sister, and that's when the man sees the older sister and recognizes her as, you know, as somebody that could be his daughter or is his daughter, and then he tells the mom that, imagine my disbelief, or however he says it, that I see my wife with a wife that shouldn't be alive with a daughter that should not exist.
Yep.
Because she was portrayed as being dead, and that was his wife, and so she also was, I guess, remarried or whatever, because the dad of the twins is outside, because the twins are not his. The older sibling seems to be his daughter, because she has features that are not like the twins.
Yeah, cat eyes.
Yeah.
And like furry pointed ears.
Yeah. And so the twins are very much human. And so that they know that they're their father's daughter, who is outside, who comes inside with an axe, attempting to attack the man that just walked into the house, or barged into the house, I guess. I don't know. And so he didn't even stand a chance. He pretty much was gutted immediately by the man that was
right in front of the girls.
Yeah.
Because none of them went upstairs.
No.
And then immediately, once he kills the dad, he kills the mom without any hesitation.
Yeah.
And then just says to his daughter, I'm taking you, and I'm taking those two, let's go. And of course she doesn't want to go.
No.
But then I think she asks about, they have some sort of conversation where the end result is that he says, well, I have to take them because they're your mothers and I have honors, or something to that effect, about saying why he needed to take the two mortal girls. Yeah. Or would you rather me just leave them here? And so they all end up going. And that's the prologue.
Yeah.
It
was
intense.
I was really worried for the girls at this state, because, I mean, they're leaving with their parents' murderer, even if it is their older sister's dad. You don't know where.
And it's your older sister's dad,
yeah,
so he has no obligation to them.
And so now these twins, who are no relation to this man, even if it was a relation, it's terrifying. You're 7 years old, with the twins are 7, and the oldest sister is like 9?
9, I think so, yeah.
And so these young girls are having to run off into a whole different realm, mind you, not even the human realm anymore. They're going to a magical place where they don't know what they're getting themselves into. And they have to trust in this man that killed their parents. It's a very scary thought.
Yeah, it sets up to be a lot more devastating than thankfully it ends up working out for the girls. But
because in the next chapter, right away, 10 years later, you find out that these girls were actually well taken care of.
Yeah,
they were raised as his daughter, and he, Maddox, is the high general or high commander of a king.
The Grand General, I think is what his name is. His title, his official title. And
so these girls are raised to be royalty.
Yeah, they're part of the royal court, essentially.
Yeah.
And so they go to school with the rest of them. So is there... The royal court, I think, is referred to as the gentry? Is that it?
I want to say they're considered the gentry, like the royalty. I don't know if the royal court is per se, but like I think just
the girls,
the royalty, like where they're living and who they are. I don't know if all of the royal court is considered gentry. I feel like certain people are. I'm not too sure.
Okay, yeah, me either. So well, anyways, regardless, he does raise the girls as his own.
Yeah.
So he puts them into school with them. Since they are part of that sort of royal court, they go to all of the balls, they attend everything, despite the fact that they're mortal. And also, the folk don't like mortals generally.
No. They keep them around as servants or consorts to bear their children. Very
few have made it to higher positions.
Yeah.
And they're known to be very easy. I mean, they are very easy to glamour, which is just a way of sort of
magicking them into under their spell.
Yeah, doing things
Yeah.
for them. So generally they don't like mortals,
No.
and so the girls are very scared of them because they've had previous past experiences. I think Jude even says she has like her finger gets bitten off by one at some point, and then they're forced to drink and dance at one of the parties when they were younger.
Yeah, and like when that happens, they can't stop almost to the point of like where they get sick. Also, they have a little brother who Maddox is now married to another woman, and she
Oriana.
and she has a son that is named Oak, and supposedly Oak at one point in time unintentionally glamoured Jude into slapping herself silly.
Yeah. And nobody noticed until it was far into it.
Yeah.
And she had like a bruise or something on afterwards.
So to prevent that from happening, Maddox or whoever in the household gave them these necklace berries or beads that prevent them from prevent them from being glamoured. Because if once you take the beads off, they could be glamoured.
Yeah.
So there's other things that they could do as humans to prevent that from happening. Like what was it, like salt in their food?
Salt in their food, turning their clothes inside out.
Yeah.
Would remove some riddles or
enchantments or something, or spells.
But also those types of tips and tricks don't work against everything.
No.
So sometimes berries work, but if it's, I don't know, a well-powered spell or glamour, then it's useless.
Yeah.
So normally the girls are hidden away or they hide away under tables or in far off kind of hallways when these sorts of events are going on. But when we jump forward into the book, we're with them at 10 years later, and they're getting ready to go to a ball, dinner type ordeal.
Yeah.
And Taryn, who is one of the twins, goes to Jude, who is our main character, and tells her, hey, we're going to have fun tonight. Tonight's the night. We don't cower. We go out. We have fun. And I think Jude is kind of hesitant at first, but then she just sort of goes along with her and says, okay, I guess we're going to do that. And then we get there, and we're immediately met with the posse, who is this royal prince, who is the youngest of the current sitting king, and his posse of three other people. It's Locke, Nicasia,
Nicasia, I believe. That's how I say it. We're just gonna call her Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki. And then Valerian, and I think that's it. So it's the posse of So we're introduced to them right away. Carden walks in. Everybody bows except for this one little kid who has moth wings. Carden walks up to him and I think just like rips the wings or something like that, like pushes him on the ground. And then I think does he say something to Jude right here?
I don't know if he says anything or just gives a look.
Maybe
I don't remember. I vaguely remember this part of the book.
It's so early. It's like the first chapter. But then Locke does make eye contact with Jude and winks at her. And it's supposed to be known, I think, or heavily implied that this is the bullies that are bullying these two girls.
Yeah.
I think. So it's weird that Locke looks at her as if they have this shared secret, and then he winks at her and then walks off. And I think we kind of end right there.
Yeah, it's almost like you're just getting a feel for what it's like living amongst the royalty fae, and there's these human girls having to kind of figure out their life in this realm. Yeah. Also, at this time too, Jude really is wanting to be involved in a tournament that's supposed to take place. There's a tournament that she wants to get into because she wants to, prove her worth and be a knight. And then on top of that, there's a king that the king in the realm is abdicating his throne. So there's going to be a coronation or ball on that.
Yep.
So Jude wants to be a knight, but in order for her to be knighted, she has to have a sponsorship. And that sponsorship is, pretty much her dad. I don't really like calling him her dad, but for the sake of this, they're the girl's dad because that's what they see him as.
Yeah.
So without his sash or sponsorship, she could never be knighted. So she hasn't told her dad yet. So that's what they're kind of talking about with the sisters. And So she's trying to figure out a way to tell him at this point. And I want to say after that don't they have a dinner when they get back?
Well, I don't know because they're at a dinner type ball. So I think they just go home after that, and then the next day they go to school.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And then they go to school and they're at lunch, and the posse comes up and kicks dirt on the girls' food. And for the first time, Jude kind of smart mouths him back.
Yeah.
I think he says to eat it. She's like, "Make me," and that really startles her sister because I think the common tone has been that they just sort of take whatever abuse is coming to them.
Yeah.
And this is the first time Taryn has spoken out against it, which surprises herself, and also, of course, surprises her sister because her sister just wants to sit back and sort of like let things happen to her as opposed to fighting it off. Jude is the complete opposite. She wants.
Yes.
Well, now she's the complete opposite.
Yeah, she wants to pretty much rebel against it and not be. She does say something about how am I going to get respect from them if I'm constantly cowarding. She doesn't want to feel like they can keep disrespecting her. She wants to feel respected and part of the world that she lives in. But Taryn takes a stance on that and says, well, they're never going to respect you. You're just pretty much going to have to live with it and lay low. Otherwise, you're going to constantly keep getting this mistreatment.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there. You're going to constantly be mistreated. And, at this point, I didn't like Taryn for that, only because I felt like she's cowarding and I don't know how she cannot already see that no matter how much they cower, because they have been cowering and lowering their head this whole time. For as long as I'm sure they've been there, and it's never worked. And so I feel like at some point in time, wouldn't you feel like you need to take a stance? And at this point, June decides she wants to take a stance.
Yeah.
And Taryn just still on that same, just lay low. But you made a good point not too long ago about how, the girls want different things.
Yeah. So the theme of sort of gathering power is Jude's whole theme through this, and so her way of doing that and gathering her own power is to know she just doesn't want to be the victim anymore.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the way to do that is to fight back and at the very least, pissing him off.
Yeah.
Just to get her little thing in there, and also her end goal is with the tournament that she wants to be knighted, and that's the way she plans to become a solid part of faerie.
Yeah.
Or Elfheim.
Yeah.
This world. She wants to be part of this world. Her idea to do that is to do that via having a station in a court that's well respected, a knight. And Taryn, on the other hand, she wants that via marriage. So and that plays into how they battle with these people picking on her. And I understand like the not liking her for this portion because nobody wants to root for you to just sit back and get your ass kicked. But I also understand this tight position that they're in, and that Camden is not just a regular bully, he is a prince.
Yeah.
And so any slight against him, any kind of holding your own against him means so much more because then he has to escalate every situation because he has to prove that he's powerful. He has people in this court that see him, and any diminishment of his power is not what he wants. So he's going to up the ante every single time, and at a certain point, you're not going to be able to match that. You're a human.
Yeah.
Well, Jude is human, so she's never going to match it, and that's Taryn's biggest point, and I think she even says that to her, too, like, if you keep doing this, you're just going to die. And Jude says a great thing, and I wish I had the line offhand, but she says something like, that better be, like, they better keep it going until I die because that's gonna be like how they ever beat me or something. Like I'm not gonna stop until it comes to a head.
Yeah, and she does repeat something very similar to Carden in the future, but I do feel like at this point, like why haven't they told their dad?
Yeah,
I didn't understand that. I felt like there's probably a reason for it, but I just didn't understand if this has been happening for so long. Why wouldn't they talk to their dad about it? And maybe they did, maybe they didn't, I don't know. But at this point, I'm under the impression they haven't.
Yeah, I do understand that maybe it's because, though he is their dad, though he does raise them and care for them, maybe they just don't feel comfortable sharing this type of stuff with him.
And it could very much well be. I didn't understand because, for that reason. And also, they're supposed to have been they mentioned a few times that they're supposed to be respected because of who he is, but I was just like, I don't think they care. I don't
No.
think they obviously don't care that you are the supposed daughter. Well, I don't think they care on the human part, but I think they pay more respect to his actual daughter because she is friends with some of the royalty.
Yeah, or at
not
least
them particularly, but
I
she has a best friend, and that's one of the
she does,
sisters.
and she has
or
like
daughters.
played with Camp Carden.
Yeah.
Like, so she's played with that in his posse. But yeah, they're not friends, but she is friends with one of the princesses.
Yeah. So after that, I think they go to school, and is that when? Oh, we already said that the dirt got kicked in their food, and so after that, I think the girls start to walk home or whatever. After that,
I think that sort of situation just sort of ends because then we start with the next day with Jude actually getting them back for putting the dirt on their food. We just jump to the next instance of that where they're having lunch again, and then Jude has overly salted the posse's food.
Yeah, and they only recognize it as one person that could have done it because I mean none of the fae carry salt around.
Yeah,
they don't they don't like their food heavily salted. So
Yeah.
the only person who would carry salt around for enchantments and stuff
probably immortal
would be immortal, and being that they are antagonized and bullied,
and they're the only mortals in this sort of like the young mortals that are in school.
Only mortals would have salt for their food because, the fae don't need salt or want salt in their food because they don't like salt apparently.
Ooh, the food would be.
The
food is really bad though.
Yeah.
Well,
they can't. I don't even know if they could really eat most of their food anyways because it's poisonous to. Like a fae apple or...
Oh, yeah. I guess I mean, like, some... Because they're talking about, like, venison hearts and stuff that the girls are eating, like, as part of their food. Their normal food.
I don't think a lot of the
and
fae
they're not
food
salting that? Like,
yeah.
Ew.
I know.
I don't know. Anyway, so it's pretty clear who does the salting of the food.
It's obviously Jude.
Yeah, it's obviously at least the twins.
Yeah.
But so they don't retaliate right away. The posse doesn't anyways. And as they're walking home... through this trek of a walk that these girls have to go through, like a forest and through a river, I don't know. The posse ends up catching up to them and pushing them into a river, which has these things called nixies.
I believe they're called nixies.
I think it's like Nixie? Nixie? I don't know.
I think so. And I'm under the impression that they're like somewhat like merfolk, but not quite. More like they have very sharp, jaggedy teeth, and they're very, I would say, smaller.
Yeah, like a sort of dumbed down mermaid is how I picture them. Like a little bit smaller, just runs on instincts, doesn't think about anything.
Probably doesn't even really communicate. It's more like
it's more like a fish that is humanoid.
Yeah, that's how I imagine it.
Teeth. Yeah. Anyway, so they push them into the water. Both girls, I think, at some points get swept up in the current different ways. They end up saving each other, and in my head, they were in the middle of the river, like on a big boulder or something. I think previously you had thought maybe they were on the other side of the riverbank.
Yeah, that's how I envisioned it.
Either way, they're together. They need to get to the other side of the riverbank. And Carden ends up offering a deal to Taryn, telling her, understanding that Jude is the instigator here. And they're really only here to get Jude back, but because Taryn's with her, she's just suffering the consequences. And he makes a deal to Taryn and says, hey, if you come over here and pledge your allegiance really to me, or pledge your oath to me that you won't help Jude anymore, then we'll spare you any consequences that we're going to give her for doing it. You have to kiss my cheeks.
Yeah. And then I think he wants her to bow or something like that, and then pledge, like, I will forever forsake my sister. And I think she doesn't agree to that. There is one thing she doesn't agree to. She said that's not part of the deal.
Because I think he adds it on after she's across the...
So even though I dislike her immensely at this point, at least she didn't go as far as agreeing to that. But I just remembered that part.
Yeah, I didn't I didn't dislike her because I felt like I understood her position in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely dislike her when she makes the deal here.
Yes,
like,
immensely.
how do you not have your sister's back?
Yeah.
You may not agree with what she's doing, but she's your sister. Like, you're just gonna abandon her there? And Jude internalizes this in her mind and thinks to herself that, oh, well, it's the smart thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I'm not upset at her for doing it, but I was upset about her. How are you just gonna leave her and pledge your allegiance? No, I guess she's not pledging her allegiance. She just made an oath to say that she wouldn't help.
Yeah,
her
and
sister.
she's pretty much choosing a side, and she's choosing the bully side, and now leaving her sister at the at the mercy of these bullies who are princes who get everything that. Well, he is a prince. Carden is a prince. The other one is his just entourage of assholes.
Yeah, well, Nicasia. I say Nicasia.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say it either way, but we're gonna say Nikki. So we got 3 names for her.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Be aware. Yeah, be aware.
She is the daughter of the queen in the water.
Yeah. I can't remember, or something.
I cannot say her
Orle,
name.
Ale.
It's like Oghlaarg. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I don't know.
She's a princess for another area.
Yeah. So there's. You learn this later, but we can say it now. There's a alliance between the fairies in the underwater and the land fairies, and in order to keep that treaty, that's why the princess is there living in the house or the court of the current sitting king. So that's where she comes in. That's why she's there.
And she's also was supposed to be courting or with Prince Carden.
Yeah, they were dating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the belief that she was possibly going to be someday queen with him, but
well, I guess that's a long line because he's the last. So maybe
it was just meant to be a courting situation, and then that didn't end up working out because I think she ended up going out with Locke.
Yeah.
Now she's not dating anybody. She's not dating any of them. However, they still have this weird emotional thing going on between all of them. The jealousy,
as teenagers do.
Yeah, and at some point you learn that each one of them has their own little thing that they like to do and indulge in. Like, I think Locke says he likes to indulge in drama and create stories of his own when there is none. One of them likes violence. One of them likes
Valerian.
Yeah, and I forget what the other two. Like, I want to say Prince Carden he likes to be irresponsible and just be irresponsible and do his own thing. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
I don't remember what.
He just wants to be aloof and drunk.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
That's all he wants.
I don't remember Nicasia's either.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah. They push her into the lake. They make that deal. Then they just walk home. I mean, he saves Taryn out of the lake, but Jude has to kind of make her way to the lake anyways, or to the other side or to the shore.
Yeah, and Nixie's kind of just like only starts snapping when she's out.
Yes.
And on top of that, before she leaves the lake and Carden leaves the lake or whatever his name is, he tells her you should think on it, but I can't remember what she needed to think on. I think it was pretty much giving up her rebellious act. And
bowing down to him.
Yeah, and she refuses.
Not our girl.
Yeah. There's a sentence she says that I can't remember, but he pretty much tells her to stop, and she says something along the lines, I refuse to, that I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't remember exactly. But
until I die.
Yeah.
Like, you'll have to kill me to stop me.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's something really crazy. I don't remember the actual quote, but I was like, when I read that, I was like, wow, that's really good. She's just not going to stop. And I'm glad she's not going to stop, because that is why I'm reading this. I want somebody to be like, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you.
Yes.
Because I was sick of the last book.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. She's like a breath of fresh air, Jude is.
Yeah.
Up against... Emilio could never.
Yeah, no.
Not even in her dreams. Amelia thought she was this badass bitch, and then Jude comes in here, actually a badass bitch. And I am loving it.
Yeah, I'm so frustrated. Like, I guess we could talk about it after. But, like, I'm so frustrated on how this girl's a human, and Amelia is a goddess, and yet I feel like Jude is a goddess in this.
Oh, yeah, Jude,
like,
she's my queen.
Yeah.
I bow to her.
Yeah. Fudge, man.
But anyway, so she does say that great line, I wish we had it, but essentially Jude is just, she's power hungry. She's sick of being vulnerable, so she doesn't bow. Her sister bows out, and then they just kind of walk home. And again, Jude puts this in her head that it's okay for her sister to do this. She doesn't care that her sister just, like, sold her out.
No, she actually doesn't care at all. In fact, she tells her sister at one point, you should be mad at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why should she be mad at you? I don't understand. But she was just like, you should be mad at me for putting you in a situation like this. It's like, I don't think you put her in that situation.
They were already in that situation.
Yeah.
Maybe she put her in the situation of the continued escalation, but they were already being picked on. I don't know.
Yeah, she says, really, Taryn, you're the one who should be angry with me. I got you tossed into the water in the first place. You got yourself out of the water. That was the smart thing to do. So I'm not going to be mad at you. And she actually says this a little ways down the road because when they get home, Vivi tells her sister, like, hey, I want you to meet my girlfriend. Let's go to the mall. So, which I don't really want to skip over this part too much because I do enjoy how they got there. But on the walk to go get their so-called steeds, horses, that's when Jude tells Taryn, yeah, you shouldn't be mad at me. Or I shouldn't be mad. You should be mad at me, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So they have this talk and conversation on the way to go to the steed.
Yeah.
To the mall.
Yes. Before they go to the mall, though, the night before, they're having a conversation about the tournament, and because Jude forces the conversation out.
That's right.
So after the lake incident, they go home and they're having dinner, and Jude says, hey... Oh no, Taryn says, hey Jude, do you want to tell Maddox about the tournament that you're planning to be in?
That's so fucked up because, like, she was trying to figure out a way to talk to her dad. This is her life.
When she was ready to do it.
Yeah, this was her life. This was her path she wanted to go to make her way into this world. And her sister just outed, like...
Right after selling her out. Like, right after deciding she's not going to have her back anymore.
So messed up.
Then she does this shit.
It's like, if you're not going to have my back, then don't put your nose in my business.
Yeah.
And stay out of it. But... obviously, she's not mad at her sister again. She talks Maddox about, I really want to be a knight. I want your sponsorship. And then he pretty much tells her, nope, I feel like you need to, if you want to do this, do it for fun. But I think you should wait until after the new king is crowned and then we can discuss it.
Which I don't think is a terrible, I didn't think it was unreasonable of him to say that. I think that it came off as though... he just felt like maybe she wasn't 100% ready. Yeah. And he even says, it's not about your skill, it's something else. Which she internalizes to mean... she internalizes it with her insecurities. And her insecurities are that she's a vulnerable human. And so she thinks that's what he means. I didn't take that as what he meant.
No, I didn't either. I saw it as a father just saying, hey, maybe you should put more thought into this. Just try it out. See if this is something for you. And in my opinion, too, if you're trying to be a knight... why wouldn't it matter if you want to just continue to, like, at least try and put forth more of an effort to see if you can? Because I don't know, honestly, how many battles or tournaments she's been in. I'm assuming this is her first one. So if you're trying for knighthood, I would assume that it wouldn't bother you to do a few tournaments to get your name
out there.
Because in my opinion, if you really want to fit in, just because you're the commander's daughter isn't a way to just fit in.
Yeah, you don't want to use that.
So I feel like she's using that, but at the same time trying to make her own way. So I was kind of weird on the idea why she was so mad at him for denying her this.
Yeah.
But she says she just doesn't want to wait anymore. And I can understand that, but be patient, like...
yeah, but then also, like, you're 17, you have this decision, you want this, and then your parents like, you're not ready. Like, nobody wants to hear that. Yeah. So I could understand why she was upset about it. She's, she's doing the kind of, like, my parents just don't understand type thing.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I got it. I think she internalized what he meant incorrectly, but then that drives her a little bit farther, too.
It does. She kind of starts to think that, well, if he's not going to help me, I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah, I think it's just another one of those bricks that are laying down the foundation of her later rise to just absolute pushing for power. Yeah. It's just one of those things that adds to it, which is great. I love it.
Yeah, because she definitely wants power. That's the thing in this book. Is I think she was so sick of feeling powerless that the only way she feels anybody's going to respect her is through power. Yes. And so she garners it any way she can.
Which is why she pushes back against Carden now, which is why she's upset about
her
father, which is why she wants to be a knight. It's all her wanting to prove herself in this world.
Yeah.
Through powers is her way to get that, not through love, like
her sister. I would even disagree that is love. Getting married doesn't necessarily mean you're loved. And like, if you look at how these humans are treated, they're mostly treated as just baby makers or servants, because in the Fae world, reproducing isn't as easy with another Fae, so they use humans as a way to produce heirs faster.
Yeah, they breed them, essentially. Yeah, and especially since she doesn't have a long-standing love interest now, so it gives the impression that she's really just ready to marry the first man who asks for her hand, because
it's kind of desperate, in my opinion.
Whatever, Taryn.
So they're going to the mall.
So then the next day, I think they wake up. I think like
Vivi wakes Jude up and says, "Hey, your sister's already waiting. Let's go to the mall.
Meet my girlfriend."
Yeah, and meet my girlfriend. So her girlfriend is in the human world, and so in order to get to the human world, they have to get through a portal, or not necessarily a portal, but they have to magic their way into the human world. And in order to do that, they have to they want to use a mount. So, which is great, but you are under the impression in this world where the Fae can get into the human world in many different ways, through shadows, through corners, through just different parts, and it's easily accessible from the Fae into the human world, but the humans, it's obscured by them. They don't really know. But you can just show up pretty much anywhere into the human world.
Yeah.
And so they walk into the forest, and they, I guess, pick some reeds and transform it into this beautiful steed.
Yeah.
Which I think all three of them ride.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's hilarious. So they go into, they magic their way somehow through the human world by riding the steed. And when they get there, I believe they're in some kind of like wooded, bushy, forested area that's in town somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's like in my head it was more like an underdeveloped area behind the mall or around the mall. Because what happens at the end, they're so quickly back where they
very
are.
quickly.
Yeah. So that's why I think it's just like the area right behind the mall or something.
And so when they get there, she magics the steed back into like reeds or leaves. And she tells her sisters, "Hey, remember where we parked?" And it's like, that's
some ground up leaves on the ground.
That's like, oh, you must be joking. No way. I can't even find my car in a regular parking lot. You're going to move with all these leaves. But yeah.
The wind comes along and blows them away.
Like, where's my car? My car.
I think it's really cool this way, too, that she just grabs some reeds and
creates a steed.
It's so random. Yeah. It's the coolest thing. I like it. So yeah, they end up at the mall. They're there to meet Heather, who's I think super cute. She's got like pixie cut hair.
Yeah.
She has no idea about any of Vivian's life. Doesn't know. Vivian clearly doesn't talk about her because she knows nothing about who Vivian is. This is the first time she's meeting any of Vivian's family. Yeah. Vivian just doesn't talk for obvious reasons, because she can't just like lay out this world about fairies to. Well, Vivian can't lay out this world of fairies to Heather, I guess.
So, in order for her to, be able to continue this, I don't really want to say lie, but continue not telling her why or who she is. The humans in this world recognize that Fae do exist, but they don't see many of them. So Heather believes that Vivi's ears are modded, like she's human, but they're surgically done. And I guess this is very common throughout the human world, where they change their appearance to look similar to Fae.
Not unlike they actually do in real life.
Yeah.
I would almost. I'm tempted.
Yeah, let's do that.
That would be cool. We just come back with legitimate elf ears. We fully absorbed our position here. So yeah, she's easily I'm going to say manipulating.
Yeah, she's definitely hiding.
Yeah. And of course, when they get together, the two sisters and Heather, kind of for a moment, Heather's asking them a bunch of questions about Vivian. Yeah. Because she doesn't know anything. And Jude just sort of plays our dad is really conservative, because it's a same-sex relationship, to kind of shush her additional questions about that. And I think that's pretty much the main Well, Vivian does want them to stay in the human world.
Yes,
with
she
her.
mentions that. I got some good news. I think we should just stay in the human world, we'll live with Heather. And she asked if Heather knew about it, and she's like, no, Heather doesn't know.
Yeah.
Why would we tell Heather? We're just going to move in.
Yeah.
But they actually have done that. They have done that with, sometime when they were young, they actually glamored, like an older woman to, like, take care of them for
sisters.
2 weeks. Yeah, and they, like, lived with her and ate junk food. And I think they even went to a motel because they felt bad.
Yep.
And so they went to a motel and stayed there, and then I guess they lived off mac and cheese or something.
And candy.
Yeah.
What typical kid crap.
Yeah, and then they begged their sister Vivi to take them back home.
Which I think is so interesting to have the faerie, who is an actual established and respected, accepted person of the fairy world, does not want anything to do with the fairy world. But then the two mortals who are outcasts want everything to do with the fairy world. They just want to be accepted. I like this situation. I like this setup. I think it's really cool because it's a couple times that Viv tries to get them
to go out
to go. The first initial time when they were kids that you talked about, and this time, and I think she does it at maybe towards the end. She also does it again.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting.
It is. I love it. I love it. I love the older sister too because she just really does not want any part of her father in his bowl. She just wants to do her own thing. So it's funny to me how she's left to her just doing whatever she wants to do, and it's constantly to go back to the human world.
Yeah, and the girls have the two twins have fully acclimated to their roles.
Yeah.
But Viv has not. She goes out of her way to do anything to spite Matic. Anything he wants her to do, she does. She's the perfect rebellious teenager.
Yes. Yeah. And also, I like the fact that she keeps, every time she goes back to the human world, she brings back stuff, and she has a closet full of stuff. Of random human, human knickknacks and stuff. And, I think, little magical creatures get in it and rip her stuff apart. She gets so mad.
It's so funny. It reminds me a lot of Ariel.
Yeah.
It has her collection of things from the human world.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's funny. So on their way back from seeing Heather, they're
I love this part.
they're trying to make way to their steed, and there's these, I would say, alternative punk-looking boys following them in their direction, and one of them wants to speak with Jude. And so he makes his way over to her and says just hello or something, nothing derogatory or anything, just very simple and short. And she just beats the ever-loving shit out of him.
Yeah, he says, again, I think hello.
Yeah.
And she turns around and punches him in the face.
Yeah. And I want to say she might have continued to beat him up as he gets to the ground.
Yeah, I think she kicks him.
Yeah, and so his nose is bleeding, his face is bleeding, and so the girls are just starting to run away because now his group of friends are chasing them, screaming bitch and stuff at them, and they're just giggling as they're running away. And Jude is like, I think he was flirting with me.
I think that's the last line of the chapter too. I think he was flirting with me. I love you. It was at that moment that I knew that I love Jude. I was like, this girl.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
No hesitation at all. Some dude tries to talk to her.
Turns around and clocks him up. Yeah, just clocks him right in the face. Like, wow, this girl, man. That's great.
I feel so bad for him too because we get an initial view of him and he's like, they make eye contact and he gives her a cute little, I don't know if he winks, but I think he smiles or winks or something to that effect.
It was very innocent. It wasn't anything rude or mean. Even it was just innocent. Obviously, he liked her, and he wanted to show he did like her. Probably wanted to get her number.
Yeah,
typical teenager.
Typical. Yeah. No, Jude was like, "Fuck that.
I'm not having any of this shit.
I don't know who you are. Don't be talking to me." I love her so much.
Yeah. So after that, I want to say they do head back home.
Yeah, I think that's just sort of the end of that, and then we get to, I think they're just back in school again, and the next instance of the bully situation is Cardin is saying something to, I always get these two twins' names mixed up because I hate Jude's name.
I
hate it. Jude is a badass bitch, and her name does not give me badass bitch. A Jude to me is at the bingo house on a Sunday, So Taryn fits more for me in my head. That's why I get them mixed up. But anyways, Cardin says something to Taryn. Taryn's crying. Jude didn't hear what it was, but she sees her sister crying, so she marches up to Cardin and pushes him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he hits a wall or if he just falls to the ground.
I want I don't think he falls to the ground.
But either way, she walks up and puts her hands on a prince and pushes him back and starts berating him, telling him like, what the hell did you say? Blah blah blah. They have their little kind of banter back and forth, and then I think she just takes Taryn and they take off, and then she's asking Taryn, I think the whole
What
walk
did you
home.
say? Yeah.
What did he say?
What did he say to you?
I
Yeah.
think she refuses, and I don't. Maybe it just brings us back to their house, but they do have a conversation, her and Taryn, where Taryn says to her, like the humiliation is less if you're not a part of it. Like if you don't witness the humiliation, then I can just sort of pretend it away. So essentially, I don't want to tell you what they told me because it's humiliating, and I would rather just forget it than have you know and make it an actual thing.
Yeah.
Which Jude does not like, but
well, I mean, I wouldn't either if I were Jude.
Yeah. So I think the tournament is the next day, and I believe Jude goes into it very self-doubtful.
Yeah.
And I think she's thinking about sort of reining in her craziness and second-guessing the route that she's taking. And so when she enters and she starts fighting, she also says something very interesting here, too. She says, maybe I shouldn't try so she doesn't get disappointed if she wasn't good enough. So, again, her thinking, going into this very self-doubtful.
Yeah.
And very self-doubtful? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's filled with self-doubt as she enters into the tournament and is unsure about how she should play her cards here. She ends up being very docile during the fight. She's not doing her full potential. And it's not until, I think there's a couple of rounds of these. And I think she does a couple of rounds where she's being very docile. And then as she's walking off one of them, Cardin comes up behind her and says something like, your only purpose is to rot.
They call her like that she's part of the circle of worms is what they say to her earlier in the book, but she's reminded that every time they do this stuff to her, that she's only born to die.
I think those are such clever insults. Like, the fact, not like in the fairy world, but for the author in general, just that like the whole thing for the fairies that they make fun of them is that they are born to die because the fairies are immortal. Yeah. And the humans obviously are not immortal, so the circle of worms.
It's such a kick to the gut too, because they're living in this magical place where everybody is living long lives, if not almost immortal lives, and she's faced with how powerless and low life. I don't believe she's low lifed, but they do, and she's faced with that every day. And so she brings that doubt into it. Oh, and then her sister won't tell her what was being said, and her sister's always telling her, to lay low, and no matter how much you do, it doesn't matter. So she's constantly having everybody around her tell her how she's not good enough, she just won't be good enough, nothing's ever going to allow her to fit in or be this person she wants to be in this world. And so
her only purpose is to rot. That's her only purpose.
And so she's faced with that every day, all the time.
Cardin just said it to the wrong girl at the wrong time, because then she starts kicking some ass.
Yeah, because now she's like, you know what? I don't care if that is what I was born, put on this world to do. I am going to, since I am going to die, and that is my state, at this point, I might as well take you with me. I'll drag you down with me to that, pretty much, that circle of worms. You know? She doesn't care anymore. No, she's just like, now that is my mission, is to pretty much.
Yep. So she kicks some ass. They get off the tournament, or they get out of that specific bout. I don't know if it's the end of the tournament or not, but this is kind of foggy for me, but I'll just say what I think is happening. They get off of the field. They go into like the back, like what would be the locker rooms, and they're back there. And then that's when Cardin is pissed off because essentially she fucked them all up. She kicked all their asses. He's upset about it.
But she's been avoiding them the whole time. Like she was still docile while she was doing a good job. Yes. And that was still pissing him off because she just showed up, was docile, because he even said, you're being docile today. Did your sister finally get to you? And so that he didn't need to do that, but he did that, and so now it pisses her off. She's like, oh, you did recognize it. I don't want to do this. Yeah. And so what does he do after that?
When they're in the locker room.
Yeah, isn't that when he grabs her hair?
Yeah, that's when he grabs her braid, and then essentially he's saying to her, you need to bow down to me, beg for my forgiveness for all that you've done to cross me and undermine my power. blah blah blah.
And people are like watching this happen.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he's just like bend, like say that I'm like I
bend the knee.
Yeah, bend the knee. Pray to me, like say that I'm the best, that you lost, and she says this very good quote that I'm going to read. She says, "I'm going to keep defying you. I'm going to shame you with my defiance. You remind me that I am a mere mortal and you are a prince of faerie. Well, let me remind you that means you have more to lose than I have nothing. You may win in the end. You may ensorcel me and hurt me and humiliate me, but I will make sure you lose everything I can take from you on the way down.
Yes.
I promise you this."
Yes.
I was like, I love that. I love that. I don't think you could shorten that quote.
Nope.
You have to have that whole quote to just understand the level of pissassery she is right now.
Yeah.
She's just pissed off and wants to kick his ass at the same time.
And even saying, I know you're gonna be the end of me, but I'm taking everything from you on the way down. Because she recognizes that every time she does something against Cardan, that she's doing something against the prince. So he only has the choice to escalate it. And
she realizes the more he escalates, the more he will lose his station.
Because every time she doesn't bow down to him, people are seeing that she's not bowing down.
She's only immortal doing this. So it does look
beautiful.
Even worse. So that's why I'm saying she finally recognized how her mortality can really do him in at the end. Because all it does is take a little bit from somebody who is believed to be powerless to show power that other people with power realize.
Yep.
That they don't have as much power as they think.
It's beautiful.
It is. And I love it.
This is the rest of the book. Like, this whole scene, or her whole quote, really, is her declaring what the fuck's gonna happen.
Her declaring war on his bullshit.
Yes.
She's like, I ain't fucking up with it. And the more you keep fucking with me, the more I'm gonna come at you.
And the more you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Because I have nothing to lose.
And you better just kill me. You better make sure that you kill me. I think she says some line, I wish I had it with me, but she says some line like that. Like, they're just gonna have to kill me to stop me, essentially. So that scene happens, and then the weirdest thing happens is that she goes to clean her eye because she's a badass bitch. She's got her black eyes. She's got cuts from the tournament. She's gonna go clean it off, and then who follows her out into this like little fountain well thing? It's Locke. It's a member of the posse.
I don't know.
I was so conflicted here. I wanted to be caught up in his allure, but we'll get into that as we get into it. But they have a little moment. He says, essentially, he confirms that she is getting under his skin, that he kind of almost obsesses about.
And only her.
Only her.
Yeah.
That her, like, which makes sense, though, because she's really the only one who's probably ever stood up to him.
Yeah.
So that really gets under his skin, that really affects him, and I think Locke says to, like, keep it up. He's like, keep it up. And then he, I think, like, wets the rag or whatever and, like, cleans her face. So they have, like, a semi-intimate moment here. And then he just walks on off. And then...
So weird.
It is so weird.
But he is the guy who likes drama. That's what he's known for, apparently.
He's real suspicious.
Yeah. His niceties, it's like, okay, that's cool. But I don't trust him. I just want to like that he's the nice guy out of the group, but it's like there's always something wrong with that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the nice guy in the group, but you're still hanging out with them.
Yes.
That doesn't strike me as okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I accepted it because I wanted to be kind of swept into it a little bit, but there is a moment where it snapped into me like an intuition, like, you know what? I don't trust you. You're too convenient. You're here too convenient.
I agree.
So it's weird. So then after the tournament, her sisters go off to go hunt, which seems so out of character for Taryn.
Yeah, and I guess she's by herself in Maddox Manor. Yeah,
she goes home because she wants to relax, obviously, because she's fought a whole tournament.
And Narbonne, or is it Tatterfell? I think it's Narbonne goes up there and tells her that there's a prince waiting for her.
There's a prince waiting for her.
Or just a random prince. And so she thinks
it's Cardan.
It's Cardan, and she wants to hurry up and get him out of the house.
Yes.
But it's not.
It's not. It is Prince Dane, who is the king-to-be.
Yeah, the third son.
Yes.
Cardan's brother.
And soon to be king.
Yeah.
And he's there. Does he ask for her?
Yes, he asks one of the servants to go get her, but they specifically say a prince is there, but they don't say who. So she thinks it's Cardan.
Mhm.
She goes down. He tells her they're in the library. So she goes down there, and it's funny because like she goes to the kitchen and gets like food, a tray of food that one of them give her. And so she goes into the library, opening the door because she's so mad, and she's got this food tray, and she like busts in the door, and she's just like, oh, and he's just like, I didn't know you were in that much of a hurry to come see me.
Yeah, yeah.
And who did you think it was going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And she says something, and I don't remember what, but Prince Dane goes, I understand my brother to be a pretty much
Spoiled
piece of shit.
Yeah,
He doesn't say it like
child.
that. He says something else. But yeah, he's like, I don't pretend that my brother is anything other than what he is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they have a conversation, and he's intrigued by her,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she says something. He says something to her, and she pretty much lies to him,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it because he goes, "That's interesting. I've always seen it. I've always heard it before, but I've never seen it. Do it again. Lie to me."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
It gave Wrath vibes for sure.
Yes,
Like,
I was like, "That's hilarious."
calling her a liar.
Yeah, calling her a liar and like liking it, like
Yeah.
interested in it, and there is a reason why
Yeah.
he likes it and is interested in it.
And I don't think that we mentioned yet, but fairies can't lie,
Yes.
and their bargains and oaths are super binding because once they make them, they have to fulfill whatever bargain. And this plays into too, like gifts and things. Like they don't like to accept gifts because that puts you into somebody's debt that you have to repay. So they have really strict binding rules. Mortals don't have to play by those rules, so
No.
their oaths essentially mean nothing if they want to take them back, and they can lie.
Yeah.
And so Dane is interested in that, and also makes the comment that he doesn't understand why Maddox hasn't utilized their abilities to lie,
Yeah.
or specifically her ability to lie. So he makes a bargain, or he asks her what
She
she wants.
Pretty much, she wants something, and she pretty much tells her she wants to not feel like she could be under any kind of enchantment, or no. She said she wants the knighthood, and he says, "Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more than that
Yes.
you want."
Mm-hmm.
And so then she realizes and thinks back on all the things that have been happening to her, like her brother and glamoring her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she thinks, I don't want that anymore. I want to be able to have nobody enchant me.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah, she
Or
doesn't
powerless.
Yeah.
And and he says, essentially, they make a bargain, and the bargain is that she'll come work for him as a spy,
Yeah.
and in her service to him, he will reward her with the ability to not be glamored, so she can resist their fairy magic, but she has to take orders from him.
Only him.
Only him.
Only he can be the one to put her under an enchantment,
Mhm.
or so anything that she didn't want to be vulnerable to, she's only vulnerable to him.
Mm-hmm.
And which is kind of like, and she's just thinking about it, and she's just like, well, only him is only one person.
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay, so I understand why she did it, but it's like
Mhm.
this one person is about to be king,
Yeah.
and you're about to pledge your servitude to him, your knighthood. So like, this one person could be very
Yeah.
dangerous.
I
And
also.
so I was just like, ooh, this could be good
Mhm.
and bad. I'm a little worried for her. In my head, immediately, I thought, bad, red flag, everywhere.
I did
Throw
too.
those red flags all over the place.
The moment he tacked that portion on where nobody can control you but me, I was doing the same thing. Like, that's very interesting. I don't like that.
Yeah, so there's a part where I actually, she describes, it's more than just any old bargain. It's called a geese.
Yeah.
Geese? I don't know how to say it.
Me either.
So GEAS is how they pronounce it, or how they say it.
Geese.
So,
Geese. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. So anyways, she already knows that this is what it's possibly going to be, and she states that she knows in her head that, yes, I get something, but you have to give, and like you get something negative in return for that. So she says like, oh yeah, you could, how she describes it, she's like, yeah, you'll win every battle that you could possibly ever go to, but you can't refuse a dinner party.
Mhm.
So people will make you go to a dinner party so you never do battle.
Yes.
And so she's like, I don't want to be in that position.
Uh-huh.
So she didn't know what that little thing was going to be.
Mhm.
He added that in
Yeah.
while he was pledging to her.
Yes.
While he was getting her to do that geese.
Mm-hmm.
Geese.
I was shocked at whatever it is. I was shocked that she took very little time to consider. I thought we were gonna have a day or so for her to consider.
Immediate.
She said she took that gamble,
Yeah.
which I think I'm not.
Well, actually, no. Apparently, in the book, he tells her. He says, "No one will be able to control you except for me." And right then and there, she goes down on one knee and she takes his swear myself into his service.
Mm-hmm,
immediately. So she did know. Yeah.
Oh yes, no, she did know, and she accepted it immediately. There was no hesitation.
For some reason, I thought she was on one knee and then he added that in.
No.
Okay, so she knew.
She knew. She took that gamble.
But
as I was gonna say is I almost I agree with the gamble that. So nobody else but this one king. That's a good gamble.
But it's a scary one.
It's a scary one, but her idea was that she was going to impress him so much, that she was going to do the best that she could, that she would have a position, because that's all she wants is just a position in the court that's solidified, that nobody can question why she's there, nobody can question her position. She deserves to be there, so in her mind, he's going to love her, and she's going to be badass. And
she's thinking everything, she's going to get everything from his service, and she thinks, well, he can't be any bad than Carden, than Belkin, because she hears nothing but shitty things about him, and she doesn't know anything about the sisters, who doesn't matter anyways, because they're not going to be part of the throne. So, that's her stance on it. So she thinks she's doing the lesser evil, but I don't think she even thinks it's a lesser evil. I think she thinks it's a good future for her.
Yeah, no, I think she thinks so too. I was shocked with that though, because there was no delay. It was just instant.
Immediate, yeah. She was more than willing to do it.
And next thing you know, she's at the dinner table and she's got this secret
that
she can't tell anybody.
And she even kind of taunts her father in a manner, because he says, which her father left the tournament, by the way. I don't know why. All I know is that he tells her, you fought well at the tournament, and she wanted to say something along, you weren't even there, how would you know? But instead she goes, oh, did you change your mind? Are you willing to sponsor me pretty much? And he said, no, I told you what I said. You're waiting until after the new king is crowned for us to have this discussion.
Yeah. And I don't know if we said the first time either, but he mentions that he doesn't think that she could kill.
Yeah.
That that's in her nature.
Yeah, she doesn't think she takes that as an insult as well. I could kill. It's well, you haven't killed anybody yet, so you really don't know. But, I mean, I feel like if you think you have the ability to kill, I think you have the ability to kill.
Yeah. Yes. Taryn doesn't have the ability to kill.
And she knows it.
She knows it.
Yeah, and so she takes the life that she wants.
Yeah. She's sitting at the dinner table. She has that conversation with Maddox. I think also he says that she can't tell anybody. She can tell not a soul who
she's not allowed to.
She's working for.
And if she tries, she'll be immediately shut. Her mouth will be immediately she'll stop talking. She can't. There's not even a hint of it. She can tell. She can't disclose to anybody.
Yes. And then I think the next day is so also fairy world is opposite of ours, so they're nighttime creatures.
Nighttime. Yeah, so she's got to go. She goes to her lectures, is what they call it, at night. And I think she's doing a nighttime star.
Yeah, they're doing a constellation reading.
Harry Potter thing all over again. Yeah. I feel Harry Potter vibes so much. Constellation. I immediately think that.
This was fun. I like the idea that the fate or the prophecies were written in the fate, the prophecies, the future. Something is written in the stars, and if you calculated it right, you could know certain events were coming.
Yeah.
I think was the lecture. I thought that was fascinating.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, they touched onto it. They didn't really get any more into that. And
no.
I think the posse was there.
Yes, the posse's there. This is the big scene.
I'm trying to remember this one.
So they're all under the stars. They're doing this. Carden is being particularly uninterested.
Taryn stays home today, so she knows something's going on.
Ooh.
Yeah, she does say, I'm staying home today. I don't want no part in something, what's going on.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so she's not there. And she pretty much, I think, tells her, that's her way of saying, you probably should go, without saying it. Because
she's so dumb.
Yeah, she just says, I'm not coming in.
You couldn't even help her in the, most minuscule way.
Yeah, she says, I'm staying home from this lecture. I guess it's your life to squander, but I don't want to watch. because she's mad she fought in the tournament.
Yes.
She did not want her sister fight in the tournament. And so now she doesn't want to really talk to her, so she just lets her know, I'm not going to that lecture. So she knows something's going on. She knows that there's something, she just doesn't want to watch it.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, so now she's at this lecture.
Again, doesn't have her back.
Yeah.
And this is brutal.
Yeah.
Like this, I don't like this scene.
That's right. This one is wrong. This one is the worst one.
And...
yeah, this is the one with the apple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, yeah, so Carden's being particularly uninterested, kind of like making up a show about how he doesn't want to do any of this. And I don't remember the specific details of this, but essentially...
he tells the teacher that he doesn't like this.
Oh, yeah, to do a
It's
different...
like, I don't like this. Well, so somebody else, I don't know if it was Valerian or one of the people in the posse were just like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is stupid. And so the teacher was like, well, let me call on Carden. And he's like, they're right. It is stupid. Do something else.
Do something
And since he's a prince, that's what they say. Yes, my prince. And they change the subject. I think they turn the lights on. And they no longer do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they start getting really shitty.
Yeah, so I don't remember too much of the details. Does she... I think it's Nicasia who starts it. Doesn't she walk up to...
Yeah, I don't know exactly how or why, but she just comes up to her, slaps her in the face, and then she gets... and then Jude falls to one knee, and then...
Valerian, like, does that when he just pounces? He pounces on her and just shoves an apple in her face?
No, that's when, like, so after she slaps her, Jude gets up and pretty much says, are you calling me out? Then I get to choose the weapon. Or
that's right.
So, like, pretty much, this is in front of class, and so they're pretty much telling her, like, if Nicasia is going to start a war or a fight between them, at this point, there needs to be an understanding. It's that they can have a battle or whatever. And Carden doesn't want that kind of stuff because she makes it very clear that they refuse to do this stuff in front of the royal family, or the royal families, because they don't want it to get back to the general, because in some way they still want to respect that. So they only really do this in front of, like, servants, teachers, and stuff like that. They don't like doing it in front of too many people. And Nicasia just actually, like, straight up attacked her.
Yes. Yeah, in front of, like you said, everybody.
So now she's like, well, you did it in front of everybody, pretty much. You're calling me out, so that
for
way.
a duel.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And I think she kind of, like, disregards that. She's just like, whatever, or some shit like that.
Yeah, 'cause she would lose.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose, bitch. That's why.
Yeah.
But then does Valerian pounce on her after that?
Yeah.
Because I know, she's already kind of
right
on the ground.
Yeah.
And he pounces on her and shoves a faerie apple in her mouth. And those apples are, they essentially drug them.
Yeah.
Drug humans. And she feels the effects immediately. I don't even think she chewed it. She just got, like, the juice shoved into her mouth. And immediately she feels the effect. She's slipping into happy. She's just happy.
Yeah, she's like, choking on it.
She was choking on it, yeah.
So she's so happy from the drug that she ends up not realizing or caring that she's choking. Oh no, she knows she's choking. She just doesn't care.
Yeah, she's like happy
choking.
about it.
Yeah.
She's just in a happy-go-lucky mood.
Yeah, and she's dying pretty much.
Yep.
She's choking to death.
And I think somebody has to push Valerian off of her because he's
Carden.
shoving it. Yeah, so it's Carden pushes him off of her, and then she's just saying lots of like, I just want to make everybody happy here. Everybody's looking, and as she's super happy-go-lucky, Nicasia is like laughing at her and making fun of her, and more people I think are making fun of her. Like the group of the kids like circle around her. She's high. She's been drugged.
This is so bad.
It's so bad.
And then they tell her to take her clothes off.
And the teacher is here. The teacher is like doing nothing.
I think they're like pretending to ignore the situation.
Yes.
Because so he's just like, oh, look at the stars, and then like doesn't pay attention to them anymore.
Yep.
And that's when that happens. And in this process too, you got to remember, even though she's protected by enchantments, the faerie apple stuff is not part of enchantments. You still could get poisons by their poisons. You could still be go through a lot of their I think they have food or drink that does different things to humans. So that doesn't protect her from that.
It was just specifically the glamour magic of forcing her to do things she didn't want to do. So she's drugged, and they make her take her clothes off. Yeah. I was really worried right here because I didn't know how far we were going to go. Taking the clothes off was far. It was making me nervous.
Yeah, that was horrible. And it's like, okay, so she's still in her underwear. I don't think she's completely naked.
No, yeah,
I
she's
think-
in her mortal butt underwear.
Yeah,
She's wearing bra and panties.
Yeah, from the mortal world. And she mentions before that humans are built differently than fae.
Yeah.
So humans are not as slender. So humans are curvier, and so her body obviously is going to be different. So she's already feeling shame from that.
Yeah, well, she's not yet feeling shame from
No,
that,
not
but
this,
she will
but
be. In general.
Yeah,
Yes,
in general.
yes.
So right now she's happy and she's pleased to do this stuff.
Yes.
She even states that she's pleased to do this
Yeah, like,
stuff.
oh, they like it. I should do more. What more can I do to please them?
Yeah, and that's upsetting. So it's like she's gonna feel that when she gets.
Because it feels like an almost essay that happens right here. It's
I
borderline.
feel like-
they drug her.
I feel like
they don't
it
have her
is.
consent to this.
Yes.
She's stripping, and then somebody, I don't even remember the details, but I think it's Valerian says that she should crawl on her knees to kiss Cardin's feet. Yeah.
In my opinion, this is sexual assault.
Yeah. It was gross.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the more I kept reading, I was like, I really hope that it doesn't get any farther. It's already bad. I don't want it to get any farther because I was disgusted by the whole thing.
And I don't think at this point, maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't know that Cardin dissuades her from doing it. I think he almost kind of goes along with her coming to kiss his feet and begging because he needs, right? Before I elaborate. Doesn't he? He doesn't say no.
Somebody steps in front. I think it's Locke.
It is Locke right before she potentially does it.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking Cardin doesn't stop her, and almost
No.
because he needs this to happen because she's again been chipping away at
Yeah.
his personal image of power, and it is Locke who ends up, which kind of disappoints later down the line.
Yeah.
the situation that happens here and how Cardin acts in this situation is sort of disappointing. But yes, it is Locke that comes in and stops it. I think he puts like a blanket over her and he's like, you guys are being ridiculous. This is done. I'm going to take her home.
Oh, okay. So Valerian does say, come to me and lick my hands clean. And Cardin does stop that.
Okay.
So he does stop that. He says, no, come kiss my feet.
Okay.
So it doesn't make it any
doesn't
better.
make it any better.
But he does stop something.
He does stop something, and then he does also prick her finger before she leaves, and
Yes.
then immediately her
But
reaction is
there's
to put it
salt.
into her mouth,
Yeah.
and there's salt in her blood, and therefore it dims the effects of the drug. So he does some good and some bad here.
Yeah, it's so mixed. And then that way Locke could take her home.
Yeah, so and Locke takes her home, and
He walks her home, but he doesn't. No, he doesn't walk her home. He walks her with a blanket on herself, somebody else's blanket, and takes her somewhere.
I think he takes her home.
Are you sure? I don't
Because
know if he takes her home.
Doesn't the next time he takes her...
Because she says, I owe you a debt. Thanks for getting me out of there. You don't owe me anything. Then she has this whole conversation with him about how you can stand them. And then he says there's pleasure being in with them. And that's when he tells her, we get to do terrible things. I get to do this. This guy gets to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I swear he doesn't. Maybe he does take her home, but I want to say...
I think he takes her next time.
Okay.
Because she crawls into bed and doesn't discuss this with anybody.
Okay.
And I feel as though she never really processes this part of the story. She just sort of buries it with the rest of the trauma of her parents being murdered and her witnessing that, of her being
feel like
kidnapped
she-
and raised. Like, this
yeah.
girl is going through or has been through some trauma. She just buries this with that.
I feel like she ignores the things that make her feel even more powerless every time.
Mm-hmm.
And then just ignores it because she's... I don't know.
She ignores it, but she does build upon it. Like,
She
she
does.
uses that.
She
And
does, but it's like she doesn't really like... she does use it and build on it to where she
Mhm.
could garner that power, but I feel like she doesn't really like talk to anybody. She doesn't like sit and just like feel what she wants to do, or feel like she immediately just like fuck this, and then just acts on her next
Mhm.
so-called revenge.
She just uses that to like harden
Yeah.
her
And it's
sword
like,
every time.
And I agree with that, but
Mhm.
it's like at some point in time you do need to revisit this.
You need to process this,
Yeah.
girl, because that was intense.
Yeah, because
I was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I would be sitting at home for a little bit, watching movies, eating food until I just like dealt with my shit for a little
Mhm.
bit, and then let's go get revenge.
Yeah.
But like, she did not waste any time.
No, she goes straight for the revenge. courage.
Yeah.
Well, it really just armors her to get shit done.
Yeah. She just does one thing after another, just trying to. And I feel like maybe she just doesn't get time. She has her issues at home with how she feels with her dad, their stepmom, so to speak, and her sister being her sister, and then her other sister just trying to whisk her away. So she's just got so much going on. I don't think she actually has the opportunity to sit down and figure things out.
Yeah, and I'm sure they don't have, like therapists in fairy
No,
in the fairy world. And I think, is it that same night or the next night or the next day?
I think it's that same night.
Is it that same night? This
'Cause
girl
she's feeling
takes
the
no
effects.
moment.
That's what I'm saying. She doesn't take in the effects of what she's going through, and immediately she's having to go on a mission. And the mission is...
That's right, because she's so tired the next day.
Yeah.
And that's when the other thing happens.
She's been up the whole time. And this mission just cracks me up. Not the whole mission, but a big chunk of it. So she gets the servant clothes that she's supposed to wear. I think, was it Ghost or Roach or... Okay.
No, not yet. Not yet. None of that
Okay,
yet.
so she's by herself.
Yeah, she gets her first mission from Dane, which is to sneak into Belkin's house.
Yes, but she still rides that mount.
To find stuff. Yeah, that's when she does. So he gives her a servant's outfit because it's easy to sneak a human into, because they're used as servants.
Yeah.
So he tells her, essentially, go into Belkin's, who is the second son,
Yeah.
and find
No, he's the first son.
The first son.
Yeah.
And to find something. He doesn't
just
find treason,
yeah.
is what he says.
Find treason for me. But how she gets there is so hilarious. Okay, so we discussed mounts earlier. You could ride these mounts to get to one place to the next. She just rides a huge toad.
Yeah.
Like, she just gets to the stables, and she says a toad is less likely to be spotted with,
than a mount. If you, rolled up on a servant on a mount.
Yeah, because...
Well, a mount. I guess a mount is anything that you sit on. But,
yeah,
like a horse.
So she takes this huge toad, lops on it, and then just flies in the air. And I'm assuming in one jump she gets there? She doesn't say how. She just says she rides this toad. I just imagine this disgusting toad, and she's just on it.
It's so big, it just does one hop.
Yeah,
to the
one
next
hop. Oh my god.
She's kind of close. I think on the map, Maddox is down here and Belkin's place is over here. Well, it's a big toad.
And then this toad, lands quietly somehow.
I mean, it's a toad. It's well versed in quiet bouncing.
It's hilarious.
But on that note, I love this world. Fairies that are half deer on the bottom.
Yeah.
They're goblin-looking ones. There's actual, pixie fairies. It's so fantasy on crack. I love it.
It's great. Some people have different color skin, different features.
I think Nicasia has, blue skin.
Yeah,
too. Yeah. And Locke is like a fox.
Like fox-looking creature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love it.
They all have different features from different... Because it's not just fae. They mix with other... Mm-hmm. They also have seelie, unseelie. They have horns, don't have horns, stuff like that. So
it's your fantasy...
it's pretty
fantasy.
Much... Yeah, pretty much fantasy indulgement.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So she gets to Belkin's, and she doesn't really know what she's looking at, but of course, she's trying to impress this prince. So she's doing everything. She's looking for any small thing, and she winds up in some room that's super messy, but in this room there is mortal books. There's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass she finds.
Yeah, and so she takes them. Yeah.
Well, she
takes one of them.
Is it Alice in Wonderland?
It's the Alice in Wonderland.
She takes the Alice in Wonderland, she shoves it in her shirt, and I think she realized right after she takes it. Yeah, it's not a good idea. I don't know. She's crazy. But I think she realizes, too, because she opens up the closet.
Yeah.
And she sees all of Carden's clothes. So come to find out, Carden does not live in the main palace, but lives in Belkin's estate. And, of course, she's like, great, now I gotta look out for Belkin. Now I have to look out for Carden. So she quickly, scurries on out. And then she...
hides underneath a chair?
Well, she leaves there, and she's thinking about, essentially, she needs to find his office or something. So I think it's at the top of a tower. She goes up there, and then she finds some stuff. She finds a note that says something to the effect of, I found the bell mushroom. It's this...
I don't remember the mushroom. It's so weird. It's just something about I found the mushroom, or we found the person who bought the mushroom, or got the mushroom.
The mushroom plate. Well, we found the location of these mushrooms over here, and something else, And she's like, oh, this seems important. Let me rewrite it.
The blusher mushroom.
The blush. Okay, I knew it started with a B.
Yeah. It says, I know the provenance of the blusher mushroom that you ask after, but what you do with it must not be tied to me. After this, I consider my debt paid. Let my name be stricken from your lips. That was a letter and very beautiful handwriting on his desk.
Yes. And I think she decides she's going to take a piece of paper and maybe lay it over and try to...
super smart.
It was super smart.
Because I would have just I would have gotten a letter, wrote it down.
Yes.
Okay, with no cell phones, okay? So I would have just gotten a piece of paper and just, like, wrote it.
Yep.
I wouldn't have transposed it.
No.
Because now you actually got the handwriting.
Know whose handwriting it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would have not transposed it.
I also would not
that was smart.
She's so smart.
Yeah, I was like, that's great. Because that's, now if I ever need to be a spy... well, you just take a picture now.
Yeah, right.
But the transposing was brilliant.
It was brilliant, and she didn't even finish it all the way because as she's writing down, she's hearing people come up the stairs. So she kind of crumples it up, puts it in her pocket. She notes that the ink will probably smear, but it doesn't matter because she's a badass bitch, and it ended up working out anyways. But then she goes and hides behind a chair, and that's when she hears Belkin and it's Carden, the two people she doesn't...
She's trying to be avoiding the whole time.
Of course, she's stuck up in this area with them. She's not very well concealed, so I think she's sort of thinking to herself, like, they're going to find me if they even come close over here. And then it's... Belkin is essentially forcing him to, like, forcing Carden to duel with him.
With a servant.
With a servant, yeah.
The servant is a mortal being, I guess, and he's losing.
Carden is losing
because he does not really good.
He just doesn't give a shit. Also.
Jude says that he's just he doesn't give a shit and he's not good because it's not something he wants. It's been very clear to Jude that he's just an entitled, spoiled brat, and so this wasn't something he cared to do or wanted to do. So now that his older brother is kind of like. I would say abusing him and treating him like shit. And he's like, he pretty much throws a sword in front of him and says, come on, show me what you've learned.
Yes.
And he's failing. And so that pisses Belkin off. I think it's because he lost the tournament.
Yes.
And Jude did so good. And it almost like, it made fun of him in a way. So it's almost like,
how could a mortal best you?
Yeah.
You're a prince.
Yeah. So here. And pretty much was, I don't know, giving him a lesson on not to fail. Which is... not a
quite
way.
a lesson.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was just pretty much, and I think at this point, he was angry and then wanted to storm and kill the mortal, and then Belkin was like, go ahead, kill him. And Carden's like, I'm not a killer.
Yes.
And that was like, in my opinion, a difference between what Jude says and what he says. So that was almost like, there's a reason for that statement because he's not a killer and she states she is.
Or could absolutely be.
Yeah, so that's in my opinion an important statement.
Which is interesting because the one who's been the aggressor
is the one saying he was not a killer and he refused to kill the human servant. So that was weird. I was like, this is a very different take on who he portrays to be.
Yes. Yeah.
And so his brother, I pretty much told him to take his shirt off. And when she took his shirt off, she could see scars. Which is crazy for a faerie, for fae, because they heal very well and they don't really scar and all that.
Yeah, not like humans.
Yeah, so it's definitely major abuse that...
Yeah, this is an ongoing situation that's happening. And is it the human servant that whips him?
Yes, he makes the human servant whip him.
Which I think we get an interesting understanding here about Carden. Why he hates mortals so much. I mean, this is a glimpse into that. I mean, he's being beaten by one. I'm sure that stokes his anger in a certain way. And two, that he is also facing a level of abuse and trauma in his own household. So it's nice to see this part. I mean, isn't that the whole thing anyways? Like, your bullies just in general are dealing with their own thing. That's why they bully you. So here's this come to fruition. Here we see this. Jude is unsure how to feel about this. At one end... who gives a shit because he's an asshole, this is what he deserves. But at another end, it's such a raw, vulnerable moment that she was not expecting to see, that she does not like it. And she even says she tries, even if she were to close her eyes, and maybe she does close her eyes, but that she can hear it.
maybe she would be okay with it, but she just doesn't. She says she just couldn't like it or enjoy it, or
Yeah.
she just.
I mean, because who would? I mean,
No, I don't. That's kind of crappy.
Yeah, it is. It was an intense moment, and this poor girl just cannot get away from like. That's scary. I mean, to be the person on the receiving end, it's trauma, but to like hear that and be trapped,
yeah,
you can't get away from that. You're
and
stuck
both of those people do not like her already. So one's being abused, one's the abuser, and now you're stuck in there, and you're having to watch your abuser be abused by his abuser. That's a whole.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions.
It's a lot.
And then you gotta sit there and think about your emotions while this is going on. How do you feel about this?
Right after this is happening, not too long after what they did with the apple.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my god.
And not too long when he grabs her by the braid and is yelling.
Yeah,
like,
it's just too much.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot for a young adult book. Damn.
I know. So they end up getting, I think she manages to find a way out. She does get out.
Yes. I think they probably finish and
then she sneaks out. And then she gets her clothes back because she changes back over there, I think, because I think the clothes were hiding where the toad was. And she still has the book. And she takes the toad back home. She leaves to go to Belkin's. No. Dane's, sorry. Dane's, and she leaves the book, the Alice in Wonderland book with the toad.
Yes. And she brings Dane the note. He's impressed.
Yeah, says you're a natural. Well, because she sneaks into his house. She doesn't even.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she doesn't even alert, which is kind of cool that she does it because she's kind of showing her ability. She's like, look what I can do. So
he even opens up the door and she still
like,
plays her role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you're a natural.
Yeah.
So invites her in, and then that's when she gives him the note. Well, the note she wrote from the transposing.
And he's impressed.
Yeah.
By her skill. I think I don't know if they have a vague discussion of that does he explain to her who he thinks, what his theory is here?
So he just says that, so he's been blackmailing Queen or Nikki's mom.
Yes.
He's blackmailing Nikki's mom.
The Sea Queen.
Yeah. And the reason why he knows that is because he recognizes her handwriting.
So that's the Sea Queen's handwriting.
And so he says the Queen must be the woman who obtained the poison for Belkin. And so at this point, I don't know if they actually say why the poison was a big deal or who they got it from, but he does say she got the wait, what? She got the poison, or Queen must be the woman who obtained the poison for Belkin. That is what Dane believes. So,
and I don't think she understands. I mean, she doesn't understand what that is.
No, she just kind of just like, okay, whatever. But I think they do kind of believe that the poison is going to be to poison him. So they're unsure as to what this poison is, who they're going to poison, when they're going to poison, but they believe it's to poison him so Belkin can be on the throne.
Yes, because the coronation is coming soon.
Pretty soon, yeah.
And so, of course, everybody's looking for reasons to make sure that nobody takes Prince Dane out before he gets crowned king. And the thought is that it's Belkin who's doing that, which is why she was sent there to find the treason. And at this point, he pretty much initiates her into his court. And he brings in... is he a goblin of some sort? I just know that he has like a big nose and...
I want to say he's it's like the goblin's nose quivers. So
he is a goblin.
Yeah.
So I picture him like 3 feet tall. I know he's not.
That's Roach?
That's Roach, yeah.
Okay, so Roach is a goblin. And I envision everybody in this entourage really differently. Than I did not expect to see him as a goblin. I'm thinking he's more of a troll. But yeah, no, it says goblin.
Oh, okay.
No, it says goblin. It says goblin. The goblin's nose quivers.
How does a nose quiver?
I don't.
Ew.
I'm not very good at that. But yeah.
So yeah, and essentially tells her to go with him, or him to take her to the area, and so they go through this windy path. All fairies can see in the dark. She can't, so he, I think, tests her too by not warning her about a door, and she walks right into it.
Because he's like, oh, because he thinks that she's just lying all the time because she's a human. They believe because she's human, she will never tell the truth, or she never tells the truth. So when she says, "I really can't see," and he's like, "Oh, you weren't lying about that."
Yeah. And so he takes her in to this room and says essentially like, "Welcome to the Court of Shadows." And so we learn that this is Prince Dane's spy squad essentially.
Yeah.
And in there is so in there is a girl named the Bomb.
Yeah.
And the
Ghost.
Ghost. I hate that there's the.
Yeah.
Just call him Ghost.
Yeah.
Just call her Bomb. I don't need to read the Ghost every time.
No, I don't need to. I don't say that either. And I don't even like their names, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm indifferent to them. I don't think that they're the worst. Like, they're not worse than Jude.
No, I still just don't like their names.
No.
I mean, they're not the worst names. I just like, oh, it's not clever.
It's
the
not.
only thing I hate about this book are the names.
Yeah.
Really, I do not like the name she gives. I don't even like Carden's name. I don't like... Taryn's a pretty name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't... Maddox, I guess he's... I don't know, we could go on a whole thing about
about the names.
Yeah, I'll just drop that right now. I don't like it. I don't like it.
So, essentially, she's in the Court of Shadows. They say, we're going to train you. And she feels embarrassed because she has certain obligations because she is a part of, like, the royal kind of court area that she can't just be out. Like, people are going to ask questions if she's not showing up for her lectures and stuff. So, she's sort of embarrassed by that. But they get up on a schedule where where the Ghost will come up to meet her at her house between certain hours. I think it's like between dawn, like essentially early morning for her, like a 3 a.m. type morning deal is how I took it. And that they will do their lessons there, and Ghost will train her on whatever Ghost is.
They also make a statement about, oh, you'll know you're one of us when we give you your name.
Yeah, when you get your
code name, I guess.
Because that's how they've all gotten their names.
Yeah, it's based off of what, like, the Bomb likes to blow stuff up.
Yes.
Ghost is very sneaky and what was Roach?
I don't know what Roach is.
I never said.
Well, Roach is kind of like, isn't he's the one who teaches, like, pickpocketing and stealing things, so I think maybe his, you're like a city rat or a city roach or something. That's how I took it.
Yeah, okay.
And then she goes home. So she learns about that, she leaves, and when she gets home, Locke is there, and Locke is
hanging out with everybody.
Hanging out with, standing next to Taryn.
Yeah.
Vivian and Oak are playing, and so he sees her, and he walks up to her.
She's
and
like, come hang out with me or something.
Yeah, she's in the stables doing something, doing her typical chores, I think. Yeah, she's, like, refilling some stuff.
Can he, like, kiss her there?
So he comes up, and then he tries to. He comes up in there, and then he grabs her hand, and they have a moment, and then he does try to kiss her, and then Taryn walks in looking for her.
That's right.
They get interrupted, and he's like, he says something like, I wish to see you again, or some stuff. It was at this moment, when they're in the barns, where I'm like, you know what? I don't know about him.
Yeah, and then, like, what do they do after that? Because that was a whole weird... Like, I think Taryn looks at her, like, suspiciously even. Like,
yeah.
What did he do? What did he
She
say
does
to
ask
you?
her.
Like, she's, like, really weird about it. And then she even... And then, that's right, because even Jude's like, well, is there somebody you're interested in or something like that? And she says something along the lines of, there is a boy?
Yes. I think this is where she tells her that she's found...
Yeah.
Essentially a betrothed.
Yeah.
Or she is betrothed.
She doesn't say betrothed yet. She says that she likes a boy and that there is a boy. I don't think she says betrothed.
She might not.
She just says she's a mystery guy and she doesn't want to... Oh, yeah, okay, there is a boy. He's going to declare himself at Prince Dane's coronation. He's going to ask for my hand.
Okay, so they're pre-betrothed.
Yeah. So they're about to be,
but doesn't tell doesn't tell Jude who it is.
Says he can't. She says she can't. She says she made a vow and promised that she can't. So very similar.
Eye roll.
Yeah, very similar to like how she can't speak of her being a spy. They have that same fairy vow with each other that I can't tell, and so that's why she is every time she gets close to saying something, she won't say anything. She says she really can't. So she made a vow, which is just so fucking stupid.
All right.
If you can't disclose, life lesson, if you can't disclose who you're dating, That's a big red flag.
That is a big red flag.
That means that they don't want to claim you or be with you.
And also, she says right here, you would like him though.
Yeah,
you would have liked him.
Oh,
Because immediately Jude is thinking, is it Carden? Is it Valerian? I don't know. She's probably going through
a list of people that possibly.
She does not want it to be.
Yeah. And she's worried. And she's like, well, she knows I don't like this person, this person, this person. So it can't be those because she would know that I dislike them.
Yes.
So that's Jude's process of trying to figure out. She's like, I just want the best for my. Even still, she's like, I just want the best for my sister. I hope. Do you love him? Do you care for him? And I don't think she really answers.
No, yeah. Do you think he'll treat you well or something to that effect?
I don't think she really answers.
Mm-mm. And then, I don't know what happens after that. What happens after that? Oh, she, opens up the book to read it to, I don't know if she's gonna, like, read it to herself. The book that she took to Alice in Wonderland.
She does.
From Carden's room.
A piece of paper falls out.
Out pops a piece
I
of
think
paper.
she's with Taryn at this time in a room or something.
Yes, and she just sort of picks it up and I think puts it under her pillow or something.
Yeah,
Doesn't even look
she's
at
like,
it.
I'm gonna look at it later. And so she starts reading the book to her, and they fall asleep.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, she goes to pick up that paper,
Yes.
and all it says, very creepily,
Is Jude.
Jude.
Yeah, all over it.
Carden's handwriting, and it's like pressed in, like, very violently, and there's like ink stains all over.
Like
and
he was
like,
carving that shit in there.
wow.
Nothing but anger.
Such angst.
I didn't get I didn't get anger from this, even though she kept trying to convince me that it was anger through her like internal understanding
I just
of this.
felt angst. I felt like
oh,
yeah,
he's got a note with it, because who does? Nobody's mad enough at somebody. Exactly, like that's what I got. Like he's just like
too.
Jude. He's not like Jude, fucking Jude. Like,
I'm gonna kill her. No,
nobody does that.
I think what it is that he doesn't understand his emotional feelings, and so he's confused, and so he's only thinking of her in that moment, and he doesn't understand why, and he's probably thinking it's hate. So he is writing it, but it's not hate. It's attraction, and I think that's where he gets confused and why he's pressing so hard.
He's getting mad about it. Yeah.
He's getting mad about it because even his own family, when they show love. Meanwhile, we forgot to mention that when his brother is beating the shit out of him, he says it's because I love you.
Yes. Yeah. So
he's super confused on what love and attraction and any kind of I'm
sure those
affection,
those emotions at all,
are
any sort
confusing.
of affection. Yeah.
His father didn't even want him, sent him away. So like he's so confused on emotional. Affection.
Well, Carden, when you're writing somebody's name that much, it's not because you hate them.
Not like that, at least.
Yeah. No, it's weird that Jude thinks that, though. But Jude also has weird ideas of...
Because her father is the one who killed her parents, so she's very confused.
Yeah, they're both dealing with some trauma. And it's warping their thoughts. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we're just gonna...
Yeah, so we know what it means. They're struggling to understand what it means. But then the next thing that we get to is that they're in a lesson in a tower. Another professor is speaking to them. Jude falls asleep. And she wakes up to getting kicked out of her seat.
I think Valerian did that, right?
Valerian does do that. She's getting kicked out of her seat. Everybody's gone. It's just them in this room. It's at the top of a tower. And Valerian's coming at her saying the same typical shit. She's dumb. She's Circle of the Worms, Queen of the Worms, whatever.
All that bullshit.
And then he, and I think she's being her same witty self. She's saying shit right back to him. And then things escalate, and he pushes her, grabs her by the throat and pushes her up against the wall. Yeah. And he tries to charm her or glamour her into jumping off of the thing. She registers that, obviously it doesn't work because she has the protection from Prince Dane, but she registers that she was wearing the berries and that he cut them off of her neck.
While she was possibly sleeping.
While she was sleeping.
And she even says that's really unnerving because he could have cut me or hurt me while I was sleeping, but he just took the beads instead, and that really hit a nerve with her.
Unnerved her, yeah. And
Yeah.
also notes to herself that Taryn didn't even wake her. The least she could have done, because Taryn was there sitting next to her, the least she could have done was wake her before leaving her in the room. This fucking sister is the worst. And that's the thing. And again, it goes back to the oath that she pledged, where she said she wouldn't interfere, but it's like, this is such a small this is such a small interference. It's not even an interference. Like, just wake her up so you guys can go to the next thing that you need to go to. I hate her sister so much.
Yeah.
And it only gets worse. She is the Amelia in this story.
I fucking hate her. I really can't stand her sister. The more I read about this, especially this part, like, I just hated her more and more every time. It's like, you seriously chose these group of assholes, and it makes you wonder, like, this is what you want? At what point are they going to turn their shitty behavior onto you? Or if they already are and you're just not telling people?
And you know what? It's like, you have an understanding of why she's doing it when you get towards later of the book. You understand why things happen, but also, again, to your point, why did you agree to this in the first place, to be a part of their posse?
Yeah.
They're torturing your sister. Like, maybe she just thought they would never go this far, but then at the same point, that's what she keeps arguing to Taryn, is that they're gonna kill, or to Jude.
Yeah.
They're gonna kill you.
That's exactly the point she's trying to prove to her sister, is that they are going to take it that far, and you're still on their side.
And you're letting it, like, you're not even kind of helping her.
No.
You don't even kind of have her back.
It's so frustrating.
It's frustrating. So anyways, he's got her up against the tower walls, told her this, and this bitch is the baddest bitch around, and she pulls her dagger out and fucking smacks him. Yeah, stabs him right in the ribs.
Yeah, and then just, so the dagger or whatever is iron, and so it hurts them way more than any other kind of metal, and so because of that, she stabs him, and she just fucking walks off. Well, she tells him not to take it out at first.
Yeah, she's a little shocked by herself.
Yeah,
too,
she's just like, oh, don't take it out, because obviously when you take it out, it's gonna bleed profusely. So she pretty much tells him to not take it out, almost like her kind gesture.
Yeah.
But then he says something, I can't remember, kind of like,
I don't remember what he says either.
Yeah, I can't remember, but she says take it. I would have punctured his. She's like very close to his lung, but she didn't puncture his lung. She just hit his rib, and then I'm guessing at one point something happens, but she does run off. I can't remember what happens shortly after she stabs him.
Yeah, does she? I think she does just leave him with the dagger, right? And then she just has blood on her hands, and she like wipes it on her shirt. No, because I think she has the dagger back. I don't know. Maybe she takes it out of him. She's like, "Fuck you!" and just pull the dagger and run off.
That's so confusing to me. What he does what she does after, but I know she just leaves, and then she doesn't see him for a long time after that.
Yes. Well, and so as she's leaving, Locke comes and meets up with her and essentially says, hey, I'm going to walk you home. She has some words with Carden because she thinks Carden sent him to do that. And Carden does not know. And so they have this sort of like dance around wordplay where he doesn't know, she thinks he knows, but then Locke's like, I'm just going to take you home, but then ends up not taking her home. He ends up walking her to his house. And he takes her.
So like he shows her the maze, like this, field, like this maze or whatever, and like at floor level, because that's what she first initially sees, and she's just saying, oh, I've never been in a maze before, and he tells her, oh, come with me, let me show you something, and I think that as he's walking her through the yard or whatever, he sees the posse.
No, not yet.
Not yet. He takes her to the balcony first.
He takes her to the top, to the tower. He takes her to the topest tower.
I don't like this at all.
And she can see her place from there. Oh, and also, it should note that Locke lives here alone because his mother's dead and his father's dead, and so he owns pretty much the entire estate himself. He takes her to the tower. They have a romantic moment. They kiss. They make out down back towards like the kitchens. They're making out all the way down to the bottom, and then he keeps saying he's throwing a party. I expected it to be a party, but it didn't come off as
really a party.
It was like a bonfire, like
exactly, like a fucking little bonfire with his little shitty ass group of people, and they brought their own little like whatever. So Carden was like laying on a fucking blanket, getting like
even before that, he's trying to convince her. She says yes, and then he says, well, I'll take you to get some dresses. And he takes her to his dead mother's room.
Which is so weird.
It's so weird. It was really awkward. But it was giving, like, he was also trying, like, it almost felt romantic because he's like, trying to put her and his mother. Okay, that doesn't sound romantic, but it's the idea that like he's trying.
I am super disgusted by this whole thing.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I don't like that he takes her up the balcony. I feel like he was gonna push her off. I had so much anxiety reading that part. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna push her off. He's gonna push her off. And then he doesn't. And I'm like, okay, what angle is he trying to play at? Then he takes her to his dead mother's, where these dresses are like
they're like moth eaten and stuff.
Yeah.
I took it as, even though I don't trust him, I took it as him like trying to let her into his like.
I feel like
his mom died and he's like trying to let her into this sore spot, this vulnerability. I don't trust him, but I took that as that. But it was really awkward to dress her. And then he tried to put jewels on her.
And she's just like, no, that's too much now.
No, just give me this moth-ridden.
Yeah, and so she's got the knife that she just stabbed his friend with, and so she's it's so funny. It's still got his blood on it and everything. So she goes to reach for the knife, and she ends up feeling something else, and she sees it, and it's like a solid metal acorn. And so she's like, acorn. Yeah, she's like, oh, this must have been his mom, and then just sticks it back in her pocket. And
then he leads her, and then I think they like go make out in the kitchen, and then he leads her to.
Oh, she does say something to him about, isn't this fun to pretend or something like that?
Yes.
And he says pretend, and she goes, yeah, it's obviously we're not going to be together.
Yeah.
And he says, well, let's keep pretending then.
Yeah. See, I thought that was kind of cute.
I like that. Okay, and I don't like it. I don't like it for the reason of them making out. I like it because she just doesn't want to give a fuck about being in a relationship. She likes the idea that she's just being wild, fun, and free at this moment.
Yes, and she's just going with her whims.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's a smart way of thinking because these guys are pieces of shit that he hangs out with. So you couldn't take it serious because it would never ever work out.
Unless he was gonna start doing some actual shit. Like you're gonna actually start stopping them from doing
and
things.
I think she knows because he even made a comment to her that I get something out of being friends with them.
Yes.
So she knows that it's just not gonna work out. And I think that's smart on her part, but not smart enough to not deal with this dude.
Yeah. Well, it is the first guy I think that
she just wants to have fun.
And it's the first one that's shown her affection. I mean, she's in this fairy world and nobody likes humans, and here this one is like wants to see her and is like trying to kiss her, and it's her first experience in that. So she's sort of getting swept up into it, but by also keeping her head and staying real about it, saying
and that's like she is 17 years old, so it makes sense for her to be like, I know this isn't gonna do anything or work out, but let me have my fun. And I feel like that's still mature, even though it's immature, so to speak. But she's 17. Of course, she's just gonna.
And you just want to have fun. Like,
so I can't fault her for that.
She's been through so much trauma. If she just wants to make out with the boy,
then
make out
with
the boy.
Her fucking enemy's friend. Okay, I see it as she's young. She's gonna make her, she's gonna make her decisions, and she wants to have fun. And I don't think that's necessarily bad at this point. Because she knows that it's not something that she should try to keep.
Yeah, or be super attached to.
Yeah, and I feel like, and we'll talk about this in the future because. She, in my opinion, is taking a smarter approach to this.
Yeah, because somebody else did not take that same approach. So then they go out into the party, which is the posse. They're out in the maze and they're drinking, and then we sort of get through this via her memories when she wakes up in the morning. I think the chapter sort of ends right here with Carden's got his two like women on him or something, they're making out, and then he like looks at her while he's like making out with some girl. That was a weird scene. And then it ends, and then she wakes up next to Locke in bed. They slept.
So weird.
We don't even know.
They didn't do anything. They just slept.
They just slept. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody confirms anything though, right? Like,
no, they don't. She doesn't. I don't think she says that she did.
Because she was drunk though, wasn't she? Like she.
Yeah, I really believe that she just slept beside him. I don't remember. I want to say she just slept, but who knows? Maybe she doesn't remember.
But she wakes up. She goes out into the hallway, and Nicasia is sitting out there, and is sitting in the kitchens, and they have a conversation where she tells her that she was dating. She essentially confirms she was dating Carden. She left Carden to be with Locke. And then
she just says Carden, she says, Carden ruins. Oh, Carden and me, he ruins things. That's what he likes to do, ruin things. And she referring to Locke or Carden?
I took it to mean that she was referring to Locke.
Yeah.
Because he does. Because it felt like she was almost warning her. Because, like, she wakes up from obviously being in bed with him, and then it's almost like she was just sort of saying he ruins things.
Yeah.
Because Locke took her from Carden and then left her. It almost seemed like he did that because he likes to make stories, right? So it's like he did that on purpose. So I took it as she was talking about Locke.
Yeah.
And then they have that awkward conversation. Jude goes back to return the dress, but decides to keep the acorn because it's interesting. It's like
she says, he told me I could borrow anything, I'm borrowing this.
Yeah, so I'll just take this random acorn.
Yeah.
And then she goes home, and I believe that she's looking around at the acorn, and she finds like a tiny little pinhole. And she takes a pin and pokes it through, and it opens up, and it has a message.
Yeah, and it's got a cute little bird.
So yeah.
It's got a cute little bird and a little bird's nest, and I think the bird's mouth moves.
I think so.
And speaks the voice. Or speaks in a voice, and it says, "My dearest friend, these are the last words of Lily?
Lily.
I have 3 golden birds to scatter, 3 attempts to get one into your hand. I am too far gone for any antidote. And so if you hear this, I leave you with the burden of my secrets and the last wish of my heart. Protect him, take him far from the dangers of this court, keep him safe, and never ever tell him the truth of what happened to me." So there is a rumor that a king had the king, yes, had a consort of and impregnated her, and somebody attempted to kill her or poison her and the child. So, being that this is in Locke's mom's room,
in a dress,
the dad, I can't remember what happened to Locke's dad. Do you remember what happened to Locke's dad?
I don't remember what happened to
But
Locke's dad.
he all he said was, my mom was just dead. My mom just died. So he never said why. But this implies, because obviously that's his mom, this implies that she was pretty much murdered or poisoned because there's no antidote, and that she thinks it's Locke.
Yeah.
She thinks protect him is Locke.
Yep.
And so now she's really confused.
And she decides that she's going to go back to Belkin's to see if she can get more information about this, because now she has she has that note that she originally found about the blusher mushrooms, and she wants to see if she can find more information that maybe points more to if it was Belkin.
Yeah, so she goes back. She wants to go back to Belkin's tower, the first tower she was at, and so she does this without
Dane's knowledge.
Yeah. And so she gets there. I don't think anything happens in between. She goes there, and she's dressed as a servant again, and she like bumps into several other servants that are human, and she sees like their vacant expression and kind of feels sorry and sad for them.
Well, and I think it's the way that the servants are glamored is that they think they're doing other things. So they're like in their own head, they're in like their happy land, and eating grub. But in their head, well, they're eating grub in real life, but in their head, they're eating steak. Is essentially how it is. So these servants are walking around like dazed and kind of happy and just in their own world. But she does feel bad for them, obviously, because they're mortals and they're some of them have been tricked to being there. It's not like they all made debts that they owe or something. Like some have been stolen and tricked. And she does find one. It's the same one that she originally bumps into
the first time. Yeah.
She's
Sophie?
Yeah, and she's like specifically usually in Carden's room is where I think she's found her both times. So it's like that's the one who cleans and maintains his fire pit, because that's where she finds her again.
Yeah.
And then she does something quite drastic.
So she doesn't find anything.
She doesn't find anything.
No treason. No other treason does she find. But she does something quite drastic and decides that she wants to help this servant. Particularly this servant.
One, yeah.
And so she tries to force salt down her throat, and she does not want to. She's like, no, I can't. So I'm guessing they're glamored to not eat any salty foods, which is very. So how do you feed them? Like, you got to feed them.
Just grub.
I
Just
with no, like, you got to make sure there's no salt in it whatsoever, or they're constantly glimmering. I don't know. I'm not trying to think about it. So yeah, so she ends up getting salt into her system, and she is unglamorized, and immediately goes into this depression state of tell me this isn't real, tell me this isn't real, tell me that didn't really happen.
Yeah. It's almost as if, even though they're glamored to see certain things in their head, they're still cognizant enough to
know something ain't right,
to know what's kind of going on, but they don't internalize it as being a negative thing. I don't know, but yeah, she does sort of go into the state of shock where she just doesn't want this to be real. She doesn't want to go with Jude, and Jude is like, yo, you're gonna get both of us caught, you need to just pretty much shut up and follow me. And she does eventually get her out, though the girl is crying the entire time.
And while she's getting her out, she's pretty much like telling her to like, bulk it up, let's go, we gotta get through this, stop sulking. And then on the way out, she sees Carden and Nikki. Yeah, Nikki. She sees them, and they're like riding in, and so like Carden kind of looks her way but doesn't pay attention really, and so she manages to escape without what she thinks without being seen.
Yes. Because he does look at her, but she does think she's far enough away and dressed like a servant that he really wouldn't make much note of it. They do get out to the forest. The girl's still freaking out. So her plan is that, okay, she's going to take her home. We're going to get Viv on board, and we're going to take her back to the mortal world.
Yeah, and so they get on, is it the toad? I don't know.
I think she really does give her...
I'm just so infatuated with this toad mouse. It's so funny.
So she goes up to Viv, but her and Viv have this conversation where Viv's like, okay, I'm just going to take her. But Jude is like, no, she's like on her breaking point.
I need to go.
I have to be there. If she just sees you, she's going to freak out.
Yeah, because you look like you are one of them.
You're one of them. And
so she doesn't want to trust any of that. And so she manages to talk Viv into going down and getting, helping her out. And so the servant's like, I don't want any more magic. I don't want it. She's like, well, there's no other way to get to the human realm. You need magic. And so Jude is like, well, let me convince you so you could see the city. Maybe if you get to a point where you could see, you'll feel better. So they do. They walk her over.
Yeah. And I think we also get a little glimpse too of how she came to be in this position.
Yeah.
She was at Burning Man.
Yeah. She said she was at Burning Man. Someone approached her and said something to entice her to come over. Like, there's a rich man, and if you do a few things for him, you can't eat anything.
Or touch it or take anything or something to that. Yeah, but then she does.
And then she becomes his servant for thousands of years, apparently. So that's interesting too. So I'm assuming they can make the humans live longer if that's what they choose to do. I don't know. But she said thousands of years, and so, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the process, she was just like, I don't think I could live with myself if this was real. Tell me it wasn't real. She keeps saying that, and I guess she's been putting rocks in her...
She's been collecting rocks.
Yeah. And so they get to a point where they do get on a mount, and I'm guessing it's a flying mount.
Yes.
For real, because they've... Not a jumping, a flying one.
It's like a Pegasus now.
Yeah. And so they're going over the water.
Yep.
And she just kind of like looks up, closes her eyes, and purposely falls.
Sophie does.
Into the water.
That was an intense moment, and I wasn't expecting it to be.
Yeah.
Well, because obviously it's a kind of a. I wasn't gonna say jump scare, but it was kind of a jump scare that
because they were just screaming for her, trying to be like, no, Sophie, like.
It was so sad.
Yeah, it was. I was really sad. I was like, oh, like she could finally go back but she just didn't want to deal with what she... So it was like, what did they do to her?
Yeah.
She couldn't have just been a servant cleaning for all those years.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'd want to kill myself while all I did was clean.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there was some really mental fucking
Well,
shit.
it was in Belkin's area, so probably...
They did some crazy shit to her, which they did not talk about. She didn't talk about. She just said... She just doesn't want to live with herself if what happened was real. So tell me it wasn't real.
Yeah.
And obviously, she even said it was real when she came to a point where they were walking. She was like, "So this whole time it was real." And so yeah.
That's rough. This is
devastating.
Heavy.
Yeah.
This book is heavy.
Yeah, it was devastating.
In a way I never really expected it to be. So that was just I was unprepared for the sadness that happens here. And then after that, they do try to look for her.
They do. She says that they looked for her, screamed for her. They went into the water and they searched and searched and searched until they just realized that she wasn't.
Yes.
She wasn't anywhere to be found. So they gave up.
Yeah. And so Jude comes home from this. I want to say she slept. She didn't sleep, but somebody. I don't know. Did she? I don't know. I don't know that this poor girl sleeps at all. I think she came home. She like laid down to go to sleep on the bed, and her maid or somebody comes up and says like, I need you. Somebody is here requesting you, and she's like, no, I don't want to deal with it right now. And then he's like, no. He says, you absolutely have to come down here regardless.
Well, they have dress things where they're getting ready for the coronation and stuff. So they are doing dress things first. But I don't remember if there's somebody in between that tells her to come down. But I know her sister calls for her, and they try on dresses, and they pick fabrics.
Yeah, I forget
like
the
that.
dress scene. I mean,
I don't know if it's before that or after that.
No, wait, that's after because, yes, I think that's after. Yeah, that's after.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they tell her to go down, and she's met with.
Yeah, that this prince, or that somebody needs to see her right now. No excuses, you need to get down there. So she goes down there in Maddox's office.
And it's Prince
Dane. And he's upset with her. And she thinks that it's because...
Of the
servant that she stole.
But it's not.
But it's not. And she almost gives herself away. But then he ends up saying it that how you can't stab... a member of the
without my permission. You pretty much do what I tell you. You attack when I tell you.
Yes.
If I don't tell you attack, you stay your hand.
Yes.
And he pretty much like shows her that, and she's like, well, they're trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me. Like, what do you want me to do? And he pretty much tells her like, remember all the bones and veins and stuff in your hand and your body. And then he tells after he glamours her to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's got this in her head that she has to remember every part of her anatomy.
Yes.
And where it is. And then he unglamours her and then tells her, now stab your hand.
Stab your hand.
So she's supposed to do it willingly to prove her loyalty to him.
Yeah.
Because if he glamours her to do it, he wants her to purposely do it.
She does it.
And she does it.
She does it. Yo, she's a badass bitch.
And so her hand is like...
Looked him in the eyeballs.
Yeah. And then did it.
Shoved it right through her hand.
Yeah, yeah, she does, and
she's more badass than I could ever be. Because I probably would not have done
that. I
that.
wouldn't have gone and stabbed my hand. No,
no,
I wouldn't have done that. I don't care. I'm not loyal to somebody that much.
And no. And then it kind of shocks him a little bit, though he washes, smooths his features out quickly after that. But then he goes, and I think he takes her hand, and he's wrapping it up, and then Oriana busts into the door with like a tray of tea.
And he's got her hand in his hand still.
And then they quickly drop it, and Oriana's, essentially like, oh, I'm sorry that Jude has,
upset you,
and she's in your presence. Like, here's some tea, and he's like, oh, you remind me, I have to go, so... it's a really kind of awkward moment that happens here. Awkward in what it appears to be. He scurries off, and then I think that's when they go to the dress fitting.
Yeah, and Oriana, or whatever her name is, her stepmama, thinks that she's having some kind of sexual dalliance with him.
Yes.
So she accuses of him, don't go above your station.
I find this so interesting. I find it interesting because Oriana kind of doesn't like the girls either, and Jude interprets that because, it's almost like this idea that, she's the stepmom and these are his original kids and she just doesn't like them. So I think it's interesting that Oriana thinks that she could catch a prince. Yeah. That Jude does have the ability, or, because obviously they look different, so not all of the faerie are going to think that humans are beautiful. So the fact that Oriana even thinks that this is a possibility... It's so interesting to me because she doesn't like the girls and she's always scolding them and like, you're never going to be great. And she's one of the ones that keeps kind of hammering nails into this insecurity for Jude as well. So, but yeah, she does take it that way and tells her not only, hey, you need to understand that you're above your station, but also that you're playing games. The consorts or the girls are only used for games.
And that's not, like, something you want to aspire to be. Like, you should probably... And I feel like there's knowledge in that, and her saying it. I don't take it as her being a disrespectful like
Mhm.
step parent. I feel like she's actually trying to bestow knowledge upon her and be like, hey, this is like a warning. I don't suggest this isn't good for you, because human consorts are not good.
Yeah.
Like,
And she does reveal here too that she was a consort to the king before she was with Maddox.
yeah, and it wasn't something she enjoyed. Yeah.
And she even says, I think she says right here too, if anything ever happens, you come straight to me.
Yeah.
And
if you get pregnant, yeah,
tell no one but me.
Only tell me first.
And I was like, no, I don't really trust you.
You know, and that's when I took it as, I know it may have looked like she was trying to be like mean or rude, but I almost feel like this was the one time she was actually trying to be like, almost like she was trying to help her in her way. Maybe not have shown it before, but I think like at this point in time she really felt like the girls she was in danger of possibly being in a position that she may have been. And I think she, even though didn't like these girls, she didn't dislike them and did not want them to have that fate.
Yeah.
And so I think this was her way of trying to help.
Especially since she had personal experience in what being a consort was on a faerie level. You know, not even fully what it was to be that way as a human.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did take it as her genuinely concerned about her. Yeah, more than just like, oh, above your station, but more just like, it's a messy game. So then after that, they do their dress fitting. They have an interesting moment here where both the girls like this one pattern of a dress.
Yeah.
And Jude is like the biggest sweetheart to her sister, and her sister just does not give a shit.
It's just so sweet.
And I think this is another example of that, where they both want the dress, and Jude's like, well, she again makes excuses for why her sister's the rightful one for things, and or doesn't need to apologize, or is in the right, and says, oh well, because she's gonna be betrothed, then it's more of her night, and she needs to look the prettiest, so of course you can have the prettiest dress.
Yeah, you know, I don't think she really gives a crap anyways. That's more like, at this point in time, I don't think she had a power playing move. So I don't think she gave a shit.
No.
She just wanted to...
She just wants to make her sister happy.
Yeah.
And it's consistently her making her sister happy, or understanding that her sister needs to do, or being overly understanding that her sister needs to do things for her sister's best interest. But I'm just like, Jude, you deserve the pretty dress.
Yeah, I think so too. But, you know, she gets more than just a pretty dress.
She does.
And this is coming up to my favorite part.
Yes, good part. So she goes upstairs and she goes
tries to go to sleep.
Tries to go to sleep.
I love this part wholeheartedly. I could talk a whole episode on just this part.
This part, yeah, this is a pretty...
So she's like trying to rest, and she hears things in the distance of like somebody like talking or something. I don't remember exactly how but he just comes out.
Yes. She does hear something, and then boom, he's there.
And it's Valerian, like with his hands wrapped around her throat, I believe. He starts strangling her almost immediately.
Yes. Like pounces on her while she's on the bed, and they have to like roll off the bed, and they get into like a little bit of a tussle, and I think she even says like she pulls out a sword, like she's not trying to fight him.
No. She's trying not to, because she just was told not to.
Yes.
But it got to a point where he was strangling her so that she can't breathe, and now he knows he's gonna kill her. And so she's like, fuck it. And she takes out her dagger and stabs the motherfucking shit out of him.
She kills him.
She killed him.
I was so shocked.
Before he died, though, he cursed her.
He did curse her.
He said all these things, but he didn't finish his curse. But he says, blood will always be on your hands, and all this other shit. And she's just like, whatever.
Bring it.
I don't care. Blood's already on my hands at this point. And so she knows she's about to have another mission.
Yes, because she's waiting for Ghost.
Yeah, she's been waiting. She thought that's who it was.
Yes.
And it wasn't. So now she's like, fuck. She doesn't give a shit that she killed somebody. She's more worried at the fact of getting in trouble by Game.
Yeah.
So she decides that, well, I don't want to tell Ghost because I don't want to put him in the position So I'm just going to get rid of the body.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll him up.
I'm gonna roll him up in a petticoat, I think she said.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
That is really
And
funny.
what color is the petticoat? I want to know. I hope it's fucking pink. And she like rolls him up and tries to stuff him under the bed. And so she's like pushing and pushing, blood's everywhere, and she can't get him under. So it's like not fitting. And so she's like kicking him under the bed.
It's so weird.
Star's just like trying so hard, and she's trying to clean up the blood in the process. And then Ghost gets there. She just
and then she goes on with her life. I was so shocked that she killed him.
I thought it was hilarious. I'm laughing at this whole part because I'm like, okay, she stabs him. He's cursing her, and that's kind of funny. Mm-hmm. And then like, now she's stuffing him under the bed. This girl got his whole body. Like,
the under the bed stuffing was hilarious, and the fact that she was thinking about how he was decomposing underneath underneath her bed was wild.
Yeah. So she goes on a mission with Ghost, and they're told to go and kill a messenger.
Yeah.
So she just got done killing this dude who's been trying to kill her, and now she's going on a fucking mission to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. And they're waiting for the messenger, and Ghost like just shooting the shit with her, and then they find the messenger, and she's instructed to kill him. Mm-hmm. So she gets the bow and arrow and does it without no problem. And he's like, "Was that your first kill?" And she's just like,
not like a couple hours ago I was murdering a schoolmate of mine.
Yeah. But she doesn't say. She doesn't want to speak the lie. Mm-hmm. So I think she just doesn't say anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she nods. I don't remember. I think she acts like it was her first kid. So she doesn't say anything. And he tells her, "Oh, it's kind of funny because most people can't handle they throw up or whatever."
Yeah.
And she's just like, okay.
Yeah.
So now she's got to dispose of this body. So she reads the message up from the messenger.
Yes.
And it says, "Kill the messenger."
It does say kill the messenger,
Okay, so explain this to me, because I'm lost at trying to understand, because immediately Ghost is like, "I gotta get this back. This was a setup." Mm-hmm. How did they understand it was set up by just having the message be called "Kill the messenger"? Okay, so in my head...
Kill the carrier of this message, or something like that.
Yeah.
It says,
Yeah, and the carrier of the message is the messenger, in my opinion. So, and what I'm thinking is, that could be anything. There could be a messenger taking a note to somebody, and then they see that, and then kill that person for treason or something. I didn't see it as a setup for them to kill.
I also didn't understand this. But it was unclear for me.
Yeah, because I've watched a lot of other fucking fantasy books where a lot of the time the messenger, if you read the note, it gets to the person, and then they just kill the messenger. So I assumed that the messenger was supposed to go to their destination and get killed by the actual person. I didn't
that it was
supposed to be them to kill. Yeah. But apparently
not the
that's...
joke. It's not a joke. But the distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't also get that. I just was like, okay, fine.
That's what they believe. That's the story. So I figured I went with that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess. And so she goes back home while he goes back to Dane.
Yeah, because he, like you said, it's interpreted to be a misdirection. So he's going to let Dane know that they've fallen into whatever trap whoever set this.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So then she goes back home, and now she's got rid of the body of Valyrian. This is fucking hilarious too. So at least she doesn't have to dispose of the messenger, because I think they took the message, and I think people came to see the messenger, and I think it's like people were crying over the body. Anyways, she gets home, and now she's got to get rid of Valyrian's body, and this girl drags his dead body off the balcony.
Shit is wild.
Throws him off the balcony, and then gets back down and drags his body over to, because he falls in the bushes, I'm guessing. I remember. And she yanks him out of the bushes and buries him near the stables. Mm-hmm.
Digs a hole, buries the body like it's nothing. Kills him, kills another person, drags his body into a hole, and we call it a day.
This is a funny part to me. I was laughing so hard. She goes, "It's not easy to bury a body. It's especially not easy to bury a body without your whole household finding out. I must roll Valyrian onto my balcony and hurl him into the bush below. Then one-handed, I must drag him away from the house." She was like, she even said that she was sweating and like...
She's actually really funny. Some of her internal things like that are hilarious.
I was like, it's not... Oh my god, it's hilarious, so yeah.
Especially not your whole household finding out.
I know.
I just
I loved it.
was blown away.
It was funny.
By this entire scene.
I was cracking up.
I was like, did shit just got fucking real? She literally just killed a classmate.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What's next? Like, I don't even know. Like, the fact that she killed a messenger wasn't obviously as shocking because it came right on the heels of her killing.
Yeah, that didn't bother. It was like, then she comes back and buries the body.
And then she comes back and buries the body.
That
like,
was hilarious to me.
This shit is next level.
Yeah.
It's like I'm watching a comedy murder show. Like,
I know.
It was so wild. I'm
was.
shocked at every turn by what she does. But I'm, like, pleasantly shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, girl. Because he's a villain. So you're like, yeah, fuck him up.
I know. I was like, bury him deeper.
Bury him deeper. After this eventful night, the next day is the coronation.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing happens, though kind of not really important, but still worth noting. They go down, they get their dresses, and hers is a different color than what not even a different color, it's a whole different dress than what her and the original, like, outfitter who was there when they planned their dress for the dress fitting. It's like an entirely different dress. I thought that was interesting, but it does have her name on it. But did we ever find out who sent that dress?
I don't know. I don't remember that. I do know that Prince Dane was supposed to assist with her having certain pockets and stuff in the dress. Never said about whether or not he decided to change it.
To change the whole thing up?
He could have, but he was the one orchestrating. Because remember when the dressmaker went in there, talked to her about, oh, there's going to be, like, special stuff for you, wink, wink. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, oh, okay. And Dane was the one who was supposed to be.
Yeah. And I think she puts in there, like, poisons and her knife and things like that. Also, we forgot to mention, speaking of poisons, that Dane says to her to look up the certain term that I'm not going to be able to remember for you.
It's some term to... pretty much explaining to her about how if she drinks a little bit of poison every so often, it pretty much she becomes immune to it.
Yeah, she builds up a tolerance so that
you know
it affects her.
What this one made me think of? Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah, that's
when
funny.
She's like drinking all the poison. Yeah, and they have that little.
Yes,
100%. Fucking Princess Bride. I know that.
So she has been doing that.
Yeah.
And also she's getting like almost addicted to it.
Yes, because it's poison.
Uh-huh.
It's poison, but it's a drug poison.
Yeah, she's getting effects of, like, drugs.
And so some people are supposed to are realizing it.
Mm-hmm. And it's making her really sick, too. Yeah. So she's...
looking like it. She's looking sick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's the morning of... Or, I don't even know, morning, night. It's before the coronation. Maddox comes in, and he gives her a sword. And... What's it called? Nightfell.
It's very pretty.
Mm-hmm. And then they have an interesting conversation about... his mom, or her mom.
And her father. Yeah.
And we come to learn that the mom and the dad both lived in Faerie, which we can assume the mom did. Yeah. And that they knew each other, and that the dad was, like, a really well-known blacksmith there, but,
he made that sword. The sword
he did make the sword. He had 2 trinkets that Maddox...
I can't remember what the other one was.
God. I don't think that we know.
Maybe, not yet.
No, we don't.
We don't. He just said 2 trinkets.
One for Taryn,
and the sword was made for Maddox.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was nice. That would be a good surprise to give to Jude.
So they have a touching moment. We didn't know that Jude knew her father. Come to find out, they did know each other. So it was a really interesting moment. It's so weird, any conversations. I mean, this is the first conversation, but it's so weird because there's always that current of knowledge knowing that he murdered you. So you're, like, having this conversation about, like, oh, your mother, because he even says, like, your mom she was great at this. She liked,
she was happy.
She was happy.
Brought happiness everywhere she went.
Mm-hmm. And even talked about the dad's personality a little bit, too.
Said he was really great at what he did, and that's why he came to the fairy realm to pursue his knowledge there. But when he left, he couldn't resist bragging about everything, and that's how it got back to them.
Mm-hmm.
And he even said that he was always gone. He was always gone for war, and the mom was always alone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But,
And then again, you're having this conversation with the person who murdered them. Like, it's so weird. It's just tainted I don't know. Their relationship is so weird, but also, because she even notes that, like, she loves him as best as she can love him
Yeah.
under whatever conditions. And I
And
think
he even says there's no good in me, but I owe you this much.
yeah, and I think their relationship is interesting because I think we didn't discuss it, but after she comes back from being drugged, he's so mad and like he wants to know who did it. Like he's ready to go to war over it, and I think that really shows just how much he actually cares about them. He sees them as daughters.
Yeah.
And obviously they have a reluctance to love him, but they do love him, and so this dynamic is just so interesting to me.
Yeah, I really liked this. I felt like I learned a lot from the conversation they had. I wish, maybe he could have told her earlier, but I felt like maybe this was the time he felt like he could tell her, and it had more meaning. And and I felt like there's a reason why he told her now, and you'll know why in a little bit. But yeah, it was meaningful to him to tell her at this point.
And then they go to the coronation. Prince Dane.
Yeah, this is crazy.
This book just gets crazier and crazier. Just when you think killing Valerian was the craziest thing that could happen.
No.
We don't have to get into too many details other than just to say essentially Maddox and Belkin. Is that his name? Balkin.
Balkin, yeah.
They staged a coup.
Yeah.
And
so first of all, you find out. Let's go back a little bit. That Taryn is actually seeing Locke at this point, because that's when she was supposed to be proposed to in the coronation. So she sees Taryn and Locke together.
She doesn't discover that till after, though. Till she gets home.
I thought she saw them at the coronation together.
She sees them, but she doesn't know that they're betrothed yet. She doesn't know that until after.
Oh, she doesn't know, but she sees them. That's right. She sees them together and suspects something's really weird.
Yeah, because she moves a curl behind his ear or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
But then I think they're scurried off because her house ends up getting scurried away, and then she's sort of in the crowd.
That's right. So yeah, so them two kind of go off with the family. And
the family gets removed.
Yeah, because it's under the impression that she's supposed to be betrothed to. So she's supposed to be proposed, be getting proposed to at the coronation. So she's under the impression that that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
That's why they left. And she's just like, and then in the meantime, all the family members are just standing up at the stage.
Yes. Except for Carden.
Except for Carden, yeah. And so they're about to crown the new king.
Yes. And Maddox and Belkin essentially staged a coup.
Yeah.
And Maddox walks up and kills Prince Dane. And he slices him.
Yes.
And so the way that the crowning for this works is that some person made this crown, and it can only be passed down for the Greenbrier line. And so the king and somebody from that line has to crown the next person.
So two siblings have to be alive in order.
Well, it doesn't have to be siblings because the king can do it.
Oh yeah, so it has to be somebody in the bloodline. So two people in the bloodline doesn't mean to have to be siblings. But if there's only one bloodline member left, no one could be crowned.
Yep.
So he needs Belkin needs one person from the family line.
And so the family's up there, except for Carden, and we see him for a brief moment before this. He tries to dance with Jude really awkwardly. He's drunk, which is seems to be a typical state for him.
Yeah.
And then we don't see him anymore.
No.
And then the coup happens. Maddox kills Dane, and then the other siblings freak out. Obviously, they're standing up there.
Yeah.
Bloodshed is happening. Well, and it's pretty deep into the coronation too, because Dane is naked. I don't know. They've got each court because
Oh yeah, they're supposed to be stripped naked.
Yeah, and each court is there.
Weird.
So the sea lead and the unsea lead, the undersea people are up here. The entire kingdom has gathered here, and they each have their own part of this coronation. They're painting things on him. He's naked.
So weird. Yeah.
And
there's a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Jude is just in the middle of the crowd watching this happen, not with the family. This portion of the coronation before the family goes off. And so, is it one of the sisters wants to battle? Oh no. Okay. One of the sisters, does Belkin kill one of his sisters?
So Belkin kills one of his sisters, and the other sister fucking kills herself.
Yes.
She commits suicide.
I think there's...
But I think there's a brother up there.
Yes, okay, so
I think the brother's the one he kills.
Yes, I think the brother's the one he kills. Then there's the two sisters left, and one sister says, okay, I'm just going to crown you, and the ghost kills her.
Yes.
And then the last sister kills herself.
Yeah.
That was, what's her name? Viv's friend.
Rhea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Viv's friend kills herself.
Yeah, the only friend that Viv had, really,
Mm-hmm.
that she cared about. And so, yeah, she killed herself.
And so now we've got Belkin in need of his brother to crown him.
Yeah, so everybody's looking for Carden at this point.
Yes, and the folk, essentially, like the houses that they semi-rule over, have alliances with, basically say, you have 3 days to get yourself crowned, or we're going to leave.
Yeah, so in the process of it, they're still having a good time.
They are.
They're still reveling. They're still literally reveling, is what they call it. And so Jude is hiding underneath the table.
Yeah.
While all this is going on.
Well, I think she sees the murdering, but once they tell him, you've got 3 days, then she goes and she hides.
Yeah. So she starts hiding underneath the table, and then, she thinks she has to fight her way out, but then somebody stops her. And
yeah. Well, I think somebody, looks under the table.
It's Carden.
It's Carden.
Yeah. Looks under the table, he's got a mask on.
He's
and
drunk.
then tells her, you're mortal. You shouldn't go around stabbing people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because she doesn't know yet. So she's like, he's like, it's not safe for you here. And she's like, it's not safe for me. It's not safe for me. It's not safe for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, since when do you care?
Mm-hmm.
And so she gets him under the table with her,
Mm-hmm.
forces him down, and he's just like, drunk as fuck.
I feel like he just has no idea what the fuck's going on.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he had any idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he even knew his whole family was slaughtered yet.
No. Mm-mm.
So she gets him down and explains to him what's pretty much happening. And then she now is supposed to trying to convince him to leave.
Yeah, she has a plan of escape of how they're going to get out of the castle or get somewhere. And so she takes them through tables, and then they get up to where the guards are blocking the stairs.
Yeah, and so she tries talking, and it's making it worse. And so Carden starts saying hey, because they can't lie, so he has to find a way to say things without lying.
Mm-hmm.
And so he pretty much says she is a member of a high court, and that we need to speak to so and so or something like that. He finds a way around the lie.
He says basically that he takes his pleasures, and that's her, essentially saying that he's taking whatever pleasures, and he's bringing with them. And he has a ring too with his crest on it to show that he is
pretty much saying that he has a way of knowing where Carden is, even though he's Carden, holding Carden's ring, showing look, see, I know where Carden is, so let me go speak to somebody to let them know that this is what I know he's figuring out a way to lie.
He sweet talks his way past the guards.
He gets in, and they leave.
Yes.
I think they leave, and she doesn't. They don't leave, but they leave they leave that area, and she sneaks him into the Court of Shadows little.
Yeah, they're lair.
Yeah, but before she does that, though, she does hold a knife to him. And, okay, so...
She takes him prisoner. She doesn't, friendly... She doesn't lead him through these in, a friendly manner.
Yeah, no,
that's his prisoner.
She holds him hostage, pretty much, puts him in the Court of Shadows, which no one's there yet. Ghost, Bomb, and Roach are not there, because they were actually fighting throughout that process.
Yes.
Keeping Belkin from being crowned. So she goes back to Court of Shadows, wondering if they're even alive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they slowly start to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But she's got Carden on a chair and pretty much
tied up.
And so they go and have this conversation with her about how we need to make a plan to come up with, that way we could get power and money and all this other stuff, because we hold that in our hands right now by having Carden.
Yes.
And she's like, okay, let me figure this out. Give me a day.
Yeah, 1 night and 1 day.
Yeah.
To go home, figure all of this out, see what they can bargain for, because she's thinking... Obviously, you've come to the realization that Maddox played a power role in this. He staged the coup with Belkin. She thought he supported Dane. And so her head's kind of reeling, so she wants to, I think, kind of suss out what is going on over here, so then that we can have a discussion about what we could do with Carden. And so she goes back to her estate, and that's when she discovers, I think it's Vivi who tells her oh, it's Locke who Taryn is betrothed to. Despite the fact that she knew, like, Jude and Locke had stuff going on. Like, they were kissing, they were flirting, and so she challenges her to a duel.
Yeah, and then this duel, like, she throws her Nightfell sword onto the floor and pretty much says, like, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'm not going to duel, and she pretty much just, like, forces her to do it. And so...
And they're going at it.
I think Maddox gets involved. That's when he says, or no fighting or something like that.
It's Vivi glamours them.
That's right.
But it doesn't work on Jude, and she has to, like, actually physically stop herself from...
Because she was going to.
Because she was gonna go full force.
Yeah.
Get her sister. And obviously they're real upset because her sister's not supposed to be glamoring her. But then Maddox does come out and then tells them both that they need to go sit in the room until he comes and deals with them. Because I think he's with Locke at this moment, too. And then he comes in there and he sort of basically says, like... I think he just sort of dismisses Taryn. But he does have a conversation with Jude and basically tells her, like, yeah, I don't blame you for, like... Yeah. She did you dirty. And she should have put family first, but... You know, sort of like pick your battles.
I'm trying to remember at this point if she knows about her brother.
Right after. So it's like literally the next event that happens.
Okay.
She learns it.
Yeah, because like she goes home after they have the whole fucking battle royale with her sister. I feel like she talks to Viv. Viv is like, oh, we're gonna leave. I'm gonna leave anyways.
Mm-hmm. She does tell her that
she's like, yeah,
this isn't normal. You don't have to deal with any of this. We can just go. And I think she has after this like a conversation with Oriana, and that's when she figures out what's going on, right? Isn't it Oriana? Because Oriana tells her the story of what happens. That they were both consorts. That she was best friends with.
Well, then she would have to know. She would have to know already about Oak. That's what I'm saying. I feel like she already knows about Oak because I think she had a conversation with Ghost and Roach before she left because that was her reason for making a decision.
That's right, because we learned that it's Ghost is the one who poisoned.
Yes, Little Roth or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so before she leaves to go, she has this discussion.
She goes to Oriana, like she finds her.
Yeah, because right after that, she goes and she's like what happened to her, and she starts asking her the question because she sees the acorn.
That's right.
On the chest.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And she's just like, oh shit, you know. Mm-hmm. And so she asks about it, and then she realizes it's Oak.
Yes.
And they have that whole conversation.
Yeah. So essentially, the story is that Oriana tells her that Lil was the consort to one of the consorts to the kings. She did get pregnant. She did get poisoned, but essentially Oriana cut the baby out. She was dying.
Yeah,
she cut the baby out of her.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
So she got the information and she went straight to her friend to see if she could help, but because she didn't want to believe that her friend wasn't going to be passed away, and so she went there and saw that her friend was already dead, and then realized that she could still cut the baby out, and she cut the baby out.
Yep, cut Oak and left and quickly.
And the baby was poisoned too.
Yep.
So she did what she could. He was sick, and
for like months they said they couldn't be around Oak, and she quickly. I don't know how she became not a consort anymore, but she quickly married Maddox to protect both herself and Oak. And, the promise was to keep him away from all of this. So we learned, obviously, it wasn't Locke that the message was talking about. It was Oak. And also, she named him Oak because of the little acorn.
Yeah.
Because it's her little golden oak.
Yeah. That was so sad.
It is so sad.
So now she knows that Oak is a member of the royal family.
The Greenbrier line.
Yeah. So now... now she believes that he even has more power to wield because Lil Roth decides to tell Jude please help me get him out of here because Jude's telling her,
Oriana, yeah,
that Matic is going to make him king.
Yeah,
she realizes that this is the whole
that
process.
was his plan. But that his plan was to put Oak on the throne.
Yeah, it was never to put Belkin on the throne. And because Lily was saying that Lily was saying that she
Oriana.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oriana was saying that Lily was wanting to keep her out of court, but her and Matic have an understanding, and that he was going to keep her out of the court, and she was just like, so help me, don't let this happen. If you have love for him ever, just don't let this happen. And she was just like, I'm going to do it. So she starts making promises.
Yeah, she's been giving lots of people promises.
Yeah, and I was just like, how is she going to do this? But she does. She makes all these promises, and so she tells Oriana that I'm going to keep him away, and so she keeps that promise. She tells that promise to her, and then she, I think she talks to Matic at this time, right?
Right after. Yeah,
because I think they also come to terms because he's like, come with me. I want you to tell me where Cardin is, because her sister makes a comment to Matic, saying, oh, you should probably talk to her. She was the last.
That's right, when they were in the room together,
She's such a fucking asshole.
She is such an asshole for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, you just betrayed your sister. It came out to light that you were screwing the same guys, or not really, but they were after the same guy, and now you're going to be like, oh, you should ask her where Cardin is.
So now Matic wants to have a discussion with her about trying to tell her where Cardin is, and if you do, I'll give you whatever you want. What is it that you want? I'm sure Belkin would give you whatever you want.
Yeah, if you happen to. I don't think he knows that he doesn't know that she has it.
He's just saying if you do. And I think he is under the impression that she knows.
Yeah, and so because she's figured out the plan, and because she has this like, hey, if you know, look at all the things that I can do. So this sort of reassurance that if she were to bring Cardin to him, they would get things in return. So she takes that back to the Court of Shadows.
Yeah.
And she comes in the Court of Shadows, and instead of her tied up prisoner that she left, he's like at the table, they're playing cards. It's like a fun thing that's going on, and she's very mad because now it looks like she does not have power here, and of course she's constantly trying to grab onto any semblance of power that she can.
Yeah.
So she's upset, and she is like, what are you guys doing with my prisoner?
Yeah.
And
it's funny. It's that whole thing. And then so like I think at that point she's just like, and she takes him back.
Yes, my favorite part.
So part. So she takes him, she like tears her dress, I think.
Yeah.
And starts tying him.
Yeah.
And then brings him to a separate room, and she's like, I'm going to talk to him. And so she does. And I think that's when she does talk to him about everything.
Yeah, so she's essentially, she takes him back to what used to be Prince Dane's thing that she's now acquired. Yeah, his office. And has like a crossbow kind of aimed at him. And she's just like, he's scared. Yeah. And she's asking all kinds of questions. And they even have a part where she's like, you can come in here and like you're laughing at me, like you're making a joke out of me. And he's like, I laugh when I'm nervous. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm scared. Like I don't know what you're gonna do.
He's
with
like,
me.
You're terrifying.
Yeah, all night I've been thinking about what you're gonna do with me. And it's just so funny to have her in this like position that she's been craving to be in. But then here he is, and he was supposed to be this bully. Now he's like, I'm scared out of my mind, and I don't know what to do other than just laugh.
Yeah.
And then so she asks all these questions.
Yeah, asks him all these questions about, I guess, Taryn and Locke, and so he tells her about this stuff.
That's what I think he tells her.
He probably does. I'm trying to remember when. It makes sense for it to be there. Mm-hmm. And then she asks, what about the letter? I
don't like the questions she asks here because they seem really juvenile.
But
he does ask about the letter.
But the letter, I was like, I wanted her to ask him this whole time, like, ask him about the stupid note. In my opinion, it's a love letter.
It is a love letter.
It's a declaration of love.
It absolutely is.
Or at least, like, a sexual angst. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a declaration of love.
And what does he say to her? Like,
it's a part that's, stuff. Like, really quoted heavily. Yeah. Something along the lines of, I don't want to misquote this, but pretty much, he thinks of her all the time, and it's disgusting.
It's disgusting. Yeah. He can't stop thinking about her.
And so, okay, I think that's hilarious, because he's just like, I don't want to think about you. I'm going to throw up. I'm going to think about you.
Mm-hmm. He's so mad by it, too. Like, just angry that he's thinking about her.
He's so upset that he's constantly thinking of her, and I think that's hilarious. He's so disgusted, like I don't know. Because, like, it's not meant to be, in my opinion, I don't think he's meant to say it as he's disgusted, like, he's just disgusted that he's always thinking of her. It's not like that. I think he's generally grossed out because she's a human.
That's so funny. I did not take it that way, but that's funny.
I think of that. I think he's just like, I can't believe I'm so attracted to her.
human.
I'm so fucking human. It's grossing me out. But I don't understand why.
That is so funny.
That's how I take it. I think he's generally disgusted and grossed out because he thinks humans are low lives, you know, and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I didn't take it as he was generally like disgusted, like gagging on it. I just thought like he's so conflicted with his feelings for her, and that like he's just angry that he likes her.
I didn't take
He's
it that
trying
way.
to deny it. He's like, I'm just upset. I'm grossed out that I'm constantly thinking about
No,
you.
I take it as ew. She's human. I like her. Gross.
She's gross. So he says that he's disgusted with the fact that he's constantly thinking about her. And then this bitch gets up, walks over to him, puts a dagger to his throat, and fucking kisses him.
But she looks at him first, and I like this part, because she like looks at him in his face and kind of like taunts him to see if he's actually telling the truth. And she says, I see desire and disgust in his eyes or something like that. And then she kisses him.
I damn near fell out of my chair. I was like, this girl. Oh my god. She is the best. This was like chef's kiss for me. And the reason I love this moment so much is because one, Carden is fucking scared. Carden fears this girl.
He's so terrified of her right now. And she's just like, oh yeah?
And I love this moment because normally it's so flipped. Normally we're from the perspective of the guy has the most power, the girl's afraid, and that's when the enemies to lovers situation. That's how it always happens. And it's always the guy kissing her first.
Yeah.
And so to have this flipped completely on its head and her just be like, fucking dagger to the throat, kiss him, and it was so amazing. This part is brilliant.
I think it's funny. I just laugh. I'm just like, this girl, she's just like taunting him this whole time, and then she's just like, oh yeah, I'll kiss you.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I'll show you. You thought you desired me now, or then you're definitely going to get a taste of it. And she even says though, which is funny, she's just like, I don't have experience in kissing really. I just kissed Locke. That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
I imagined it being something else, but it wasn't. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She rocked Carden's world right here.
Yeah,
That's
he
what
was
she
like,
did.
like breathing, like scared breathing on top of it. She's like, what the fuck?
He's experienced nothing like this in his life before. He's both scared shitless and also super into it.
I feel aroused and afraid.
Yeah, he was absolutely both of those things, and he does not know how to handle this.
Yeah,
he does not know how to handle a Jude because she is a lot, and I fucking love her for it.
She's funny.
This moment, this was hands down my favorite moment. And then after that, I love her because she is so like you keep. At least for me, I kept thinking that she was going to do more things to be softer with Carden because she was catching feelings.
Yeah.
Obviously, she describes him as beautiful, as like devastatingly handsome. And so I felt like she was going to start developing a soft spot. This bitch has no soft spot.
No,
she's like, I'll kiss him, and then she's going to go talk about how she's going to trade his ass.
I think it's great. She didn't even think about, maybe do I have feelings for him? No, she didn't give a shit. She's like, I gotta go figure out how I'm gonna gain power.
And she's like, if I'm developing feelings, I ain't gonna sit here and think about it. I don't want to develop feelings.
No.
I need to hurry up and go.
Yeah, because she's got things to handle, and I like it. I like that she didn't dwell on the fact that she just kissed him. In fact, I think she used it as a way to be like, I'm just gonna show you. Like,
it wasn't power move.
It was not meant to be any kind of an emotional thing for her, in my opinion. I don't think it was.
No, it's hard to tell. It almost felt like she was testing her own desire here too. And
I don't think it was emotion. I think it was desire.
100%.
I think it was just, fucking find out type thing.
Let us both find out.
Yeah. I think it was hilarious. I like it because I like that she continued on and she thought objectively the rest of the way.
That's it. Like, ain't no man. She don't need no man. Let's go. I kissed him. Let's sell him. Let's go.
I love
She even tells them, like, write down what you want. What do you want to bomb and
she's like,
and...
so she brought. That's the funny thing. She unlocked the door and looked in and saw that they're all just like waiting for her. She's like, okay, so she brings them in, and she's like, you got nowhere to go. That's another thing too. She's like, took him out of his restraints, and she's like, you ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I think he even says like, oh, would you shoot me or something? And she's like,
Yeah.
Like, if you ran, I would shoot you.
Yeah,
Like, you're gonna die.
But you have nowhere to go. So,
Yeah.
so she just brings him back to the room untied, pretty much showed her power that he can't go anywhere without.
Yep.
And so they pretty much just like chill with him, and they ask her what the plan is, and she says something about give me more time or something.
Yeah, I think that she lets them...
She kind of lets them in on a little bit.
Yeah.
Tells them about her brother, I
yes.
think.
Yeah.
Because they already know, because they talk about the poison.
Yes.
And they realize who poisoned, and they realize that, oh, he's still alive, so the king is still alive. And so she kind of lets him in on it, but she tells him, hey, I got to do a little bit more, like, kind of thing, you know. Or is it that's when they actually do decide a plan?
I think they do decide a plan.
Okay.
But actually, I don't know, because I think that she comes... Doesn't she have a conversation with Bomb and everybody's asleep, and then she has to, like, pull Carden out?
So she tells Bomb to go and see if she could get the crown. And then, yeah, she pulls Carden out, and they go do that little mission to talk to the other kings and queens, because she can't do anything. She can't really solidify her plan without knowing if she could find 2 people to back her up.
Yes.
So she talks to everybody,
but,
tells them about an idea, but then she leaves with them?
No, I think she has to have this... let's see. She has to have this conversation... swears her command whenever Jude goes to Sir. Yeah, so she reveals her plan. So she tells them her plan.
Yeah, but they didn't come together with a whole plan yet until...
Well, I think the plan is that Carden has to crown a new king.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she goes in. So it's Carden. The plan is Carden is going to crown Oak. And they're going to steal the crown right before they put it on Belkin. He's going to pretend he's going to put it on Belkin, steal it, going to put it on Oak instead.
And then Oak is going to be taken by Viv to the human world and be raised so he can know something other than just this bullshit that's going on.
Yes, so he can have a childhood and not be raised on violence so that he ends up like Belkin or like Maddox. Yeah. So in order to do this, she needs to find people who are in the like other lords that are around here to back her so that if military intervention or a fight breaks out, that they have somebody that's on their side to help fight. And so she's having a conversation with Carden about these different lords. Yeah. And he does say that the queen is partial to mortals or something, like she had a mortal lover or something to that effect.
They talk about a few people that they have options for, but they narrow it down. So she takes Carden, and Carden helps her narrow it down to 2 people.
Yeah, well, it's the 3 people, but she
doesn't get.
She messes up the first one.
Yeah. So he tells her, "Here's the other 2," and so she tells him he can't move from this tree. Gives him a whole command.
Oh, that's right. We missed that part.
Oh,
we didn't do that part. So is it? I think it's in the room.
It's in the room right after she kisses him.
Yeah, she makes him swear himself under her oath. Or basically oaths himself to her.
Yeah, for a year and a day.
A year and a day. Yeah, she wanted longer, but he said, you're not going to get any longer. You get a year and a day.
So pretty much...
To control me.
Yeah, to control him, and he has to protect her.
Yes.
She's under his protection. So, just like...
And she can give him any commands at any point that he has to follow.
Which is very crazy, that he was willing to give her that much power.
He's scared out of his mind, though. He's scared.
And I think he really, 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 really likes her. Yeah. On top of that. I mean,
well, nobody writes Jude 500 times on a piece of paper.
Yeah. So anyways, so he's under her power. She tells him he cannot move from this spot under certain circumstances. And so he pretty much has to obey. And he tells her in the process, though, like, hey, there's these 2 people. One is a king's son. Severin?
Yeah, Severin.
He doesn't specify. He didn't say prince. He said a king's son or something. Severin. And the other one is Lord Roybin? Roy?
Roybin?
Roybin.
Roybin?
Roy. Prince Roy.
I'm sorry. We're never going to get better at this.
Prince Roy is one of them.
And Prince Severus.
Severus.
That's how I remember it. Yeah. It's Severin, but...
So she decides to go to Severin first.
Yeah, she goes to Severin, and she kind of makes it in there pretty easily. She gets an audience with him, and he says, all right, I'll back your king. Because so essentially her sell is, hey, we have a king that we're going to put on throne. She doesn't tell anybody who it is, she said, but he's going to be better than Belkin. Just be there for us if we need you to back us. And he says, okay, I'm interested, but I'm not going to agree to this unless you can get one other person to do it. Yeah. So then she takes off to Roy, and they're eating like Chinese takeout too, and she walks in there with like his fairy consort or his bride or whatever, and they have a conversation, and he agrees on one condition that she'll back him, but the prince is in his debt for something that he'll call in his debt, and she clarifies that it is something of equal value, to which she says equal value as if that sort of helped, but like this is a big thing. Like you gave him whoever you're gonna crown.
So you're saying your equal value would be to crown somebody? I mean, I felt like that was a little.
Yeah, that's a big.
She agrees
debt.
with it though.
She does. He does too.
Yeah.
And so she has her plan in motion. Yeah. And then she goes
back to them and lets them know, I think. She goes back to the Court of Shadows.
Mm-hmm. And then she has to go tell the other. So that's the first part of her plan that she's secured. And then she needs to go tell Viv the part of the plan because Viv doesn't know yet.
Yeah. So now, I think she goes straight to Viv while Carden is still there.
Carden is just, he's still...
So they all know the plan. But so before she leaves, because when she goes back to Maddox, she's there before the next issue that they have, because there's another party they all attend to.
No, I think after this, the plan is set in motion because that's
but they come back in ball gowns and shit.
Yeah, at the coronation.
Yeah, is there another coronation?
Yeah, because he had 3 days to get himself.
Okay, so it's the last day.
Yeah, so it's the coronation day and
Okay, so before she goes there, though, she talks to them, and they have an actual set plan. They have four rules, or 4 things. Do this, do that, and then get out, or something. I can't remember. But they specify 4 things that they're supposed to do. I think it's get in, crown Oak, get Oak out, or something like that. There's 4 specific things, because then she even says part 1 is done, part 2 is done, part 3 is done. I think,
I think those are things that are taking place as a coronation, because she's saying that to herself in the coronation.
But he sits while they're all together in the Court of Shadows. I think it's Ghost or Roach actually starts writing it down. She goes, "Oh, are you replanning my plan?" And he goes, yeah. So they discuss that there before she leaves.
Before she goes back home.
Yeah, so they have that discussion in place. And then she goes back and she talks to Viv.
Okay.
So she already has, they have their...
plan set in motion.
Yes.
And then she tells Viv, essentially, that the plan is for her to take Oak out of here and raise him, which we already sort of discussed. Yeah. Viv is reluctant at first, but then is like, okay. All right, I'll take her and live with Heather and I in the mortal world. Or take him and live with Heather and I in the mortal world. And then I think the next thing that we're at is the ball. It's the coronation. It's happening.
Well, she finds out that Taryn moved in with her betrothed.
Oh, that's right. And she says an interesting thing here that's kind of heartbreaking. She says
wanted to talk to her.
She wanted to talk to her, but then she also says, I understand why he chose her, but I don't know why she didn't choose me. Yeah. It's so sad.
Yeah, I was really upset about that. And he fucking... Oh, well, I mean, it's at the coronation, so we'll talk about that in a little bit.
God damn it, Taryn.
Yeah, I don't like Taryn Orlock.
No.
Yeah. No. So, anyways, they go to the coronation, and she's on Carden's arm.
Yeah, well, so Carden is still missing now, obviously, because he's been in the Court of Shadows. Yeah. So nobody knows she knows him.
No, and then they ride together.
She's on his arm.
On his arm, and she's parading him. She's parading him, not the other way around.
Look at what I got. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, and he's wearing his dead brother's stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
He's wearing the prince that was supposed to be king's clothing.
Yeah.
And she's wearing, I don't even know what gown. I just saw some gown. Yeah, I don't know. I think someone pieced it together for her. So she's there. And this is a crazy part because, Belkin and them are talking because she's like, hey, you brought him here. Thank you for bringing him here. What is it that you want? And Carden and him have this discussion, I guess, about what he wants.
Yeah. But also Maddox is here too.
Maddox. So they agreed to whatever Carden wants. He wants the biggest. He wants Hello Hall. With all the finest wines and all this other stuff. So they agree. But he's like, but I'll do it when I want.
Yeah, I'll crown you whenever I'm ready. I want to party first. Yeah. We have all night to crown you.
And he's like, pretty much no, I don't. I want it now. Yeah. But Maddox ends up pulling Jude aside and asking, why didn't you tell me or something like that. So I think they end up having a moment later though.
Well, during this time too, Jude is passing out wine
to him
and offers him red or white, and he chooses red, and then they drink, and then
Yeah.
part of the plan is that she's going to let Roach and Ghost in through the window in the hallway. So she sneaks over there to the hallway, opens up the window, and then Maddox sees her there, and then they have a little fight
Yes.
there, which is this is such an interesting part. He essentially says that stuff. Why didn't you tell him? And she says, because you wanted to put Oak on the throne so that you could.
And so you knew about Oak this whole time,
Mhm.
and she goes, yeah,
Yep.
pretty much.
And the plan was for him to serve as king, essentially Maddox to have all of this power while Oak wasn't old enough yet. So.
And he goes, you would have benefited from that. And that's pretty much what he was referring to
Yeah.
about wait till the new king is crowned. Because that's what he said. He kept saying, our lives will be changed. Our lives will be changed when the new king is crowned.
Yep.
And you wouldn't have picked up on that until you found out that Oak was, the new heir. But so he gets really mad. They have this fight. Of course, he's not losing. He's overpowering her.
Like they have an actual fight, like an actual sword fight. Mm-hmm.
And so she asks him, "Are you getting tired? Are you not feeling well?" And he starts to realize he's lowering his sword. He can't hold it up, and he's like, "Did you pretty much poison my drink?
Yeah.
How would you have known?"
He gets realization that he's been poisoned.
And she's like, he was like, "How would you have known which drink I would have taken?" And she's like, "I didn't. She's been poisoning herself this whole time, so she was able to, yeah."
And he just passes out.
My thing that I like she said, because he said something along the lines of why or whatever, and she's like, "I am my father's daughter." And I was like, that was brilliant, because he raised her that way.
Yep. And I also like that the foreshadowing, sort of, maybe not, but when her and Taryn duel, he does say, like, don't enter a fight unless you're prepared to win or you want to win.
Yeah.
And so I think it's interesting that there they are both, because he's like telling her while they're fighting, like, you're not gonna win and things like that. And so it kind of telling her, like, I'm about to go full me, so you better.
Yeah.
I'm about to be prepared to win.
Yeah.
And
obviously she purposely engaged in a fight to get his blood pumping.
Yep.
Because that just will get that
through.
poison in there faster, because she's trying to time it. She knows now. She's got approximately an hour, so now her plan needs to be in place. So she's got that done, which was part 2. Because now she got Roach and them in, she's got him down, she's got an hour, and now she's got to make it happen. So now she's got to wait for the crown, and I think she's standing next to Carden or whatever, and now a bomb goes off. And so now this is the next play, but she didn't count for Belkin to save his brother, because I think he, like, stops the bomb from, because he thinks the bomb is going to actually hurt Carden, and that's what he's worried about. So he goes and he tries to save Carden, and now, in the mix-up things, one of them gets the crown but throws it to Taryn.
Yeah, Ghost gets the crown, and she's stuck because the chaos has slowed her down a bit. He sees Taryn
and thinks it's her, I'm assuming, which I don't understand.
Come on, are we not seasoned assassins here?
Yeah, I don't know. And then throws it to Taryn, and now she's confused, and Belkin's like, give it to me. Give me the crown. And there's only 2 people who could crown at this point. No one knows about Oak yet. So why is he so fucking worried about making sure the crown goes to him particularly? Because it only could go to that bloodline.
Yeah, he just doesn't. He's just
being really.
He's being super careful, right? Like, he doesn't want anybody to move this crown. He doesn't want it to go anywhere. Like, something happened, an explosion just went off. Like, it feels like another coup is happening.
Yeah, so he's really worried. He's like, give me the crown, give me the crown. And everybody's just like, let her choose. Let her choose to who to give the crown to. Because Carden's not asking for it.
Yeah.
And so she gives it. I think Jude's asking for it. Is what it is. So it's Jude and Belkin. So Jude takes it from her pretty much, and she finally lets go. And Jude goes over to Oak and gets Carden, I believe, at this point, but then tells Carden to, like,
you cannot move for a minute.
And and she's like, just give it to Oak so he could get a feel for it. And puts it in Oak's hands. And then Carden kneels down and tells him he can't move, and then he crowns Carden.
And then Oak crowns Carden.
Yeah, and everybody is shocked because they had no idea.
Most of all, Carden is shocked.
Yeah.
Because he was a little betrayed here.
Yeah, because he was not wanting to be king. Even mentioned that he is not going to be a good king.
And he told her she told him that she was going to, part of the reward would be for him to go away and be away from all of this stuff.
That's what he wanted.
And this has been her plan all along, we come
Yeah.
to find out, because she needs somebody to hold this position for Oak for at least 7 years.
Yeah.
And I understand. The only one who she has under her spell for
It's
at least a
him.
year today
It's him.
is Carden.
And she's hoping that maybe he will like be susceptible to believing in her plight, and also he will grow tired of the crown
responsibilities
and will
too.
and give it over. And it's like, ooh, I feel like without actually discussing that with him,
Yeah, that was a gamble.
Yeah, because now you got 7 years and only a year and a day, and he's gonna be so mad.
So mad. Yeah.
I don't think you can talk him into that. I don't know. You'd have to be very clever to talk him into going along with what you just did to him.
Yeah.
That's super betrayal. So anyways, yeah, Carden now knows he has the crown, obviously, and so he stands up and pretty much tells everybody, okay, and to thank Jude, who I will definitely repay.
Yeah.
And so everybody's just like reveling in their new king.
Yeah, everyone's happy except for Carden. He was awfully betrayed.
So now like, after the party's done, he's sitting on a throne, and she goes in to see him. And there's a thing he says to her. Come on, have a seat.
Oh yeah, like, you wanted this, you earned this.
You earn it. You have. Well, he tells her, he's like, I don't want no part in this crown. You're gonna do everything. I'm gonna pretty much be irresponsible and do whatever the fuck I want. So here, have a seat. You earned it. Yep. Isn't it what you wanted? And that was the last part of the. That was the last.
That was the last one. Yes. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. I thought for sure Oak was and they were gonna just take Oak. So Oak ended up leaving. They went to Target. They went shopping together. I forgot about that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And they live with Heather. Heather still doesn't fucking know.
No, and they've glamoured Oak, because he has horns.
Yeah, so they took all that. And so I think Belkin is in prison, I think.
Yeah, they put him in the forgetting tower or something.
And I don't know about Maddox. I can't remember what happened to him.
I don't think we learn any of this until book 2.
Okay. So they don't really say, and I was pretty shocked by that ending.
Yeah, I was too.
I did not expect. I did not expect at all that he was going to be crowned.
I kept thinking that I kept thinking the storyline was going to go that eventually he would be the king, but I thought that they would want to do it like they had decided that they were going to work together because they didn't want Belkin on there. That's what I kept thinking, but then the Oak thing kind of got thrown in there for me, and I'm like,
well, it's probably Oak then.
Yeah, then I guess it is going to be Oak, but I don't want it to be Oak. I think it should be Carden, and then I ended up getting Carden at the end, and I wasn't happy about it because it was a betrayal.
I wasn't happy on his part, but it was a good story.
It was a good story, and you know what?
Yeah.
So interesting is that as she's building power, she's so self-reflective of the fact that, like, she's willing to go as hard as she needs to go, and maybe even too far. She even says that to herself. I think I'd even go too far. And then she also she also has a moment where she's saying to herself that she's understanding that she has so much power now that it's more than just securing her position, but now she has the power to decide the fate of Faerie. Like, she's going to put the crown on somebody's head.
They even gave her a name, which I forgot. You know how they were, the Court of Shadows weren't going to give her a name, but they gave her a name. They called her what, the Queen?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember what her title was.
I'm pretty sure it was the Queen.
She thought it was going to be Liar. The Liar.
Yeah, the Liar, which would have been pretty good. But no, I think they called her the Queen, if I remember right. And I also liked the better word, Kingmaker. They should have called her Kingmaker, but they didn't. They call her, I think, the Queen.
That's sort of like her title, though, because other people are addressing her that way.
They're addressing her as the Queen?
Mm-hmm. No, Kingmaker.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good title for her.
Yeah.
So everybody else is calling her that, except for her group. Her group is calling her the Queen.
Yeah, her Shadow Court is calling her that, yeah. Man, this book was so good.
Yeah.
Holy crap. There was so many twists and turns, and I loved it. I loved every moment of this.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess we could go into ratings. My overall rating is a 5. I thought it was great. I mean, I know there was some reviews saying that they didn't like it, they didn't understand it, and I don't think they got it for what it was supposed to be. I don't know, maybe they didn't like the writing style, but I like the writing style. I like the story. I like the twists and turns. I like the violence in it. Like the violence was some violence is just unnecessary, but it's almost like she needed to kill who she killed.
It's like we entered Game of Thrones in young adult world.
Yeah.
I was so shocked.
Yeah, I was pretty yeah, because I expected this to be young adult, so I wasn't thinking that this was going to be. It was like I said, young adult Game of Thrones. It was great.
It was insane.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. There was no spice, which I was not upset
Not to
about.
its detriment. Like, I didn't even need it.
I felt like if you added spice at this point, it would be horrible.
Yeah.
And I think if you're reading this book for spice, then you're in the wrong place for it.
Yeah, this is not a book for spice.
But I don't know. I heard that maybe the next books are. That's what I was hearing, but I'm not too sure. Even so, I feel like it didn't need it. It wasn't meant to have it, and it's a really good book.
Yes, 100% agree. I also give it a 5. I don't know if it's. I mean, it's so great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.